Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Springs Municipal Advisory Council meeting. It's really, really nice to be here in person, and we really appreciate all of you being here with us. My name is Maite Turi. I'm the chair of the commission, and we'll start with roll call, but first I want to announce si hay alguien que necesita interpretación en español, los audífonos están al lado de la puerta en la mesa a la derecha. Entonces, muchísimas gracias. So, Vice Chair Perot is not here, so I'll do the roll call. Councilmember Jesus Alcaraz.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Hardiman.
Present.
Councilmember Iris Lombard.
Present.
Councilmember Hannah Perot is absent. Councilmember Mari Carmen Reyes.
Present.
Councilmember Celeste Winders.
Present.
And I'm here as well. So I would just want to remind all council members to participate and share the air with your fellow council members. Also, we want to thank KSVY for broadcasting. Always great to have their tech support. And Bob, thank you so much. Lynn Marie, our awesome minute taker. And thanks to SVUSD for allowing us to use the space. We have two interpreters with us this evening, Julie Burns and Carlos Radillo, and they will take turns. And also I want to thank Karina and Zaira. Karina makes all of this happen for us every single month, and we greatly appreciate her time and energy. So can I get an approval of the minutes for the February 8th meeting?
I motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, thank you. Motion passes. Item 3, public comment. These are for items not appearing on the agenda. We have quite a bit of public comment on another item that we will be reading into the record later on, but this is for items not on the agenda. And I would like to share a couple of requests from Lynn Marie. Please speak up when you are giving your public comment. Please state your name, and if possible, we might need a spelling. That would be super helpful. And please make sure that you're close to the microphone. So this is just a reminder we take council and public comments on all agenda items, and the time will vary depending on the number of public comments we have. It usually varies between 2 and 3 minutes. The items are timed. Karina will put up the clock so that you can see how much time that you have. We'll do the same thing for our Zoom callers. Just remind me, Karina, to go to the Zoom callers so I don't forget about them. We'll ask for a show of hands, and then we'll decide on the time allotted. And we appreciate you all being here again. So thank you. We'll start with community events announcements. Karina, is this your part? You want to talk about the vacancies? And
We need to go to public comment first.
oh my God, I just went over this whole public comment thing. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? 1, 2, 3. Is that right? 2 minutes. Thank you. 4, 2 minutes. 2 minutes per comment. Thank you. Would you like to come up to the podium? Yeah.
Me.
Thank you.
Kick us off. Greetings. My name is Samantha Kimple. I am with Creative Sonoma, which is a division of the Economic Development Board. I'm here to make sure that the members of the MAC and the residents it serves are aware of a fire memorial public art project that we're kicking off. In last summer, the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors approved a plan to create and install a commemorative artwork recognizing the lives of those who perished in the 2017 wildfire complex, which was announced at the 50th anniversary that this project will take place. My office, Creative Sonoma, is facilitating the project on the county's behalf. We have a number of items involved with that, which are listed on our website, an approved work plan, which people are welcome to review to know what this entails. We're looking at possibly an 18 to 24 month process. And we have 2 opportunities linked to this right now. We have announced the opening for members of a fire memorial task force. We're now accepting applications. The first review of those will take place at the end of this month, so by March 31st, 2023. That will consist of approximately 7 members, that to include a broad cross-section of stakeholders, including representatives from families who've lost loved ones in the fires, first responders, artists, and arts workers. For further questions about that, people can create a link to Creative Sonoma at email creativesonoma@sonoma-county.org, or our website, which is www.creativesonoma.org/fire. The other opportunity is for a project manager. We're now accepting requests for proposals from submissions for a project manager. And this closes March 31st. This person will be in charge of managing the task force, working with our various offices, and making sure things go along with our calls to artisan and site selection, which has not occurred yet. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Josette Rose Eicher. Tonight I would like to ask a few questions about where the MAC is on following through on working towards a Springs Plaza or gathering place. I'm speaking both for myself as a Springs resident and as a member of Wake Up Sonoma. I think it is often easier to stop something than to start something. I thank the MAC for seeing that a county Matson partnership for a plaza was not in the community's best interest. But now the hard part comes. How do we move forward and get something positive for our community? I have some interesting data and some disappointments to share with you from the Springs Plaza survey I created to discuss with you. I have an ask later tonight during discussion for future agenda items on how to share it. I would like to ask if the MAC still has an ad hoc committee dedicated to the Springs Plaza, and if not, will some members be pursuing this independently? And if so, how can I and Wake Up Sonoma help? It is not enough to just stop something without working on a positive solution to replace it. The Springs Community Center has told me they would rent the space for a community meeting on this subject on an evening. The fee is very reasonable, and if the county would not pay for it, I would. We had a good community turnout for the Matson arranged meetings. It would be my hope that we can get similar community engagement to find out what people want and what is possible. I also want to alert you that additional commercial buildings along Highway 12 in the Springs have been purchased by Lefevre Matson. These were not publicized sales. They were found by public record searches. This is to highlight the challenges the Springs specific plan may have when one entity owns most of the commercial property in the plan boundaries. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Scarborough, and I'm currently a 20-year resident of the Springs, previously lived over 20 years in Glen Ellen. And I'm here tonight as a volunteer with the Sonoma County Area Agency on Aging, which is conducting a needs assessment to inform funding and policy priorities during the 2024 through 2028 fiscal years for seniors, people with disabilities, and caregivers of seniors and people with disabilities. We particularly want to hear from people who are low income, disabled, minority, primarily Spanish speaking, socially isolated, living in rural underserved areas, or otherwise at greater risk of having unmet needs as they age. Your participation, and I'm addressing this to the Springs community at large through the commission, your participation can help us ensure that everyone's needs are taken into account, not just the typical white upper middle class survey takers. Please consider sharing your opinions and needs, your anticipated needs, and share this information with anyone else you think might be interested in providing assistance and information. Anyone of any age can complete an online survey in English by going to, and the URL is seniorsofsonoma.org, and in Spanish by going to terceraedadsonoma.org. I have a few paper copies with postage paid return envelopes here with me tonight. And if anybody would like to receive an emailed link to the surveys, you can contact me at Cynthia, CYNTHIA, at onabout.net. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. I thought I saw another hand. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Hello, hello, hello. It's good to see everyone in person. My name is Veronica Annapolis and I live in the Springs. Wake Up Sonoma is not anti-development, and we support responsible development that serves the needs and the best interests of the Springs' diverse residents. However, this demands a responsible and transparent partner. As you know, Lefevre Matson have demonstrated covert behavior in buying and has shown no intent to develop its properties in a reasonable timeframe. Government doesn't regulate property ownership, but it does regulate uses of property. It can abate public nuisances and place liens on properties that are declared nuisances. To this end, I feel that the county needs to get creative to protect our economically vulnerable community. Develop a vacancy tax where the county will tax the owner of a building that is vacant for an extended period of time, usually many months. It can be for commercial property, single family residences, or multifamily residences. One of the goals of passing a vacancy tax here in Sonoma County would be to deter speculators like Lefevre Matson from sitting on properties only to make profits. The county should consider a measure that if an investor owns X amount of property, that it must submit a master development plan with timeframes and fines for non-performance. On another note, I'm hoping that the MAC is following through on the Springs Plaza and/or gathering space, not in partnership with Lefevre Matson. The momentum is here, and collectively, we should proceed with community meetings and identifying possible spots to create this for the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Is there anything online? I remembered that part.
For those members of the public who are watching via Zoom, if you could use the raise hand feature, and you will be identified. So far, I see one hand, Chair Turi.
Okay. Bring them on up.
Cincy, when you're ready. You can
Hi, yes,
state
thank
your
you very
name.
much. My name is Zincy, that's spelled X as in X-ray, I as in India, N as in Nancy, C as in cat, I as in India. And I work for Zero Waste Sonoma. I've been communicating with Karina and several members of the Springs MAC to organize a compost giveaway event at Larson Park that's scheduled for April 1st, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And in addition, I just wanted to mention that we will be, the MAC will be distributing countertop organics / food scrap pails that are available for residents to pick up for free. They're for carrying food scraps from the kitchen to the curbside green bin. And these pails are also available for residents. If they can't make it to the event, they can pick it up at any time from either the central landfill or any of the county transfer stations, including the Sonoma transfer station at 4376 Stage Gulch Road. One more thing I'd like to mention is that Zero Waste Sonoma is also offering a compost rebate program where anyone can get 10% of their money back for compost purchases, either individual or combined purchases, totaling over 30 yards in a year. Only purchases made after signing a short 3-page agreement with us will qualify for the rebate. Any individual or organization may claim up to $25,000 in a year through this rebate program. For more information and to find a copy of the agreement, go to the link www.zerowastesonoma.gov/compost-rebate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay, thank you. That closes item 3. Community event announcement. Karina?
Thank you, Chair Turi. We have vacancies in the first district, so we encourage community members to apply if you're interested in learning more about the government and how you can make a difference. The Commission on Human Rights, the Community Development Committee, Iolero Community Advisory Council, and both the North Sonoma Valley MAC and the Springs MAC have alternate positions available. Charla is returning in April, so thank you for the support and the request for us to continue Charla. Keep an eye out for the agenda, which will be April 13th. Y lo voy a decir en español. Próximamente regresamos con la charla comunitaria el día 13 de abril, así que estén pendientes de la agenda. Tenemos vacantes en el primer distrito si desea aprender un poco más sobre el gobierno y cómo puede usted hacer un cambio en su comunidad. La Comisión de Derechos Humanos, el Comité de Desarrollo Comunitario, el Consejo Asesor de Iolero y también ambos consejos del el Valle Norte de Sonoma y el Consejo Asesor Municipal tienen vacantes. Also, the Sonoma County Planning Commission is holding a public hearing to consider adding and amending the vacation rental exclusion and cap X combining zones for certain parcels in the 1st, 4th, and 5th districts. Public hearing is coming on March 16th, approximately at 1 o'clock at the Board of Supervisors meeting. If you'd like more information, please email Gary Helfrich, and I apologize if I do not pronounce his last name correctly. His number is 707-565-2404, and his email is Gary, Gary, his Gary last name HELFRICH at sonoma-county.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Any community announcements, event announcements from the council?
On behalf of the Community Health Center, we will be doing pop-up clinics through April 20th. That will be the last day. And we want to thank everyone for all their support in these past 3 years. The pandemic, that's officially going to be 2 years of vaccines and in 3 years, including testing and vaccines. So we will be closing up the Wednesday clinics at the health center, and we'll just be focusing on pop-up clinics at different fire stations and different other locations. The vaccine clinics can be found at the www.svchc.org under community vaccines. And as you know, federal pandemic emergency ends on May 11th. State and county have lifted already on the 28th, but we continue requiring masks inside the building until any further instructions by the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Carmen, and thanks to the health center for everything you all have done. Any other events? Comments? No. Okay. All right.
Zoom.
Oh. Are there comments? Thank you for reminding me about that.
Happy to. We have a lot going on. Any members of the public that are watching via Zoom, if you can use the raise hand feature, if you have a community event announcement. No raised hands. Thank you.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that this was going to be a little bumpy, the first one, but we'll get through it. All right. Is there any event announcements from the audience? Okay. All right. On to item 5. So we have Mari Carmen, happy birthday. Your birthday's coming up this month. So thank you. We have a new member joining us in April, Jack Allen. So we're very excited to, I think he is he online? Is he in the audience? No. Yeah, he was on vacation. He wanted to be here tonight, but he was going to try to join us. But anyway, he'll be here next meeting in person. A quick update on the SVCAC meeting, the approval of the Kenwood Winery Ranch proposal was approved with some hesitation, concerns about, as you can imagine, traffic and evacuation. It's approved for a 10,000 case winery, 20 special events over the course of the year, and 200 up to 200 people in any given event. But again, there were lots of questions from the commissioners about traffic and exit routes, as we all who live here share those concerns. So, but it did pass. Let's see. On, I think it's April 27th, the Springs Rotary has invited the MAC to share the work that we've been doing. So I'll be presenting to the Springs Rotary on April 27th. I believe they meet at the Faha building on Verano. So I'm looking forward to that. I just want to remind council members, I'm going to read this because Karina took a lot of time to write this. So, meeting material and deadlines. As a reminder, to be compliant with any and all materials the council wishes to bring forward during our meetings, they must be included in the agenda prior to the time of posting. This allows the council and community members time to access, review, prepare with questions, edits, and approve. Also to meet media deadlines for promotional support materials. And I think you post a week, 2 weeks. Material reports, presentations, budget reports, annual reports, etc. must agenda posting is done by Karina, and this includes sending the agenda and material to the council member. So moving forward, material not received prior to the agenda posting won't be included, and this means it can't be presented during the meeting, and it will get bumped to the next agenda. So I'm guilty. I didn't get a budget request in, so I think the message is directed towards me. But anyway, I did get it in. It'll be on the next agenda. So we understand that some items take more time. When the council has a resolution item, such as a letter to review, letters written must be submitted in full before the meeting. Again, it has to be in a timely manner so it can be posted, so we can be compliant and we can talk about it. So we have to make sure that all our proposals, budget proposals, and anything else that we want to get on the agenda gets to Karina. She wants to hear from us. Just a reminder that the chair and vice chair terms are expiring in April, and nominations will be accepted at the next meeting. And I think that's it for my chair update. And if there's any public comment or any questions from the council. Nope. Okay. Public comment? Anything on the screen? Okay, great. Thank you. Supervisor Gorin, thanks for being here. Do you have something to share with us?
Always.
Thank you.
It is great to be in person, except for the supervisor that has to get in her car and drive down the valley. And I really want to thank Karina for the excellent, and Zaira, it's good to have you here, the newest member of our team. Great to have them here and facilitate the hybrid Zoom. It is difficult for those of us who've been participating virtually on a number of different meetings to want to and drag ourselves out of the house. It's a little bit more difficult other than popping on the Zoom. But I'll say to all of you, as people say to me, wow, you have legs. Indeed, it is fun and important to come together. So thank you for making the effort, and thank you to the district and everybody else. And thank you, all of you, for being here. It's lovely to see all of you. I recognize a few of you. Let me just talk very, very briefly. Yesterday's meeting at the board we discussed and approved the funding for George's Hideaway. It's the most recent addition to the county shelter system in Guerneville. Not inexpensive, and we've been discussing that site and that facility for now 6 years. It's not easy, but we've given the go-ahead and we're going to move forward. Burbank is going to manage it with the West County Community Services. And I hope that we can have good news about Homeless Action Sonoma in the near future and their progress being made. We had the shortest board session possible talking about the zoning code. And so it full of all kinds of stuff, but boy, it was a snoozer. And just so you're aware, the county has 11 bargaining units for its 4,700 employees. And we're in negotiations, active negotiations with a number of them, including SEIU. So we're not close to meeting their needs yet. And we may have some action moving forward, but I know that it is a very difficult time for employees and all employees, not just with the county, dealing with the inflation and the costs. And so I have incredible empathy, and yet we have to come up with a budget and meet that budget. Next, on the 14th, I just looked it up and I forgot what it was. I'll go get my iPad. But an announcement to all of you. Yes, we're going to have a very large forum on mental health and substance abuse organized by the county at the Finley Center on May 2nd. It's an all-day forum. And I've let them know that there's not many people from the Springs who will want to drive up there and participate, but some of you certainly will. And we'll make sure we get the information on that out to all of you. And I'm going to try to have a smaller community meeting talking about some of the substance of that. I know that you at the MAC have been very, very concerned about mental health services and the lack of services in the Valley. So I keep bugging them for the funding to come forward and actually work with partners to provide those services in the Valley. So I'm hopeful this go around that maybe some of your organizations can be a partner in delivering those services. Interestingly, the Sonoma Valley is not the hotspot for opioid and substance abuse. It seems to be Rohnert Park, Petaluma, and the West County. But I've asked for some data to quantify that. Mary Carmen, is that true? Do we not have a epidemic here?
I don't know. I don't work in the
You don't
clinical
know.
part of the health center.
Okay, so we'll figure that out. We'll get the data. The county is continuing to work with the owner to lease with an option to buy a building right on the border of this Springs area and the city of Sonoma to be co-occupied with community service providers. One half of the building would be the county Health and Human Services, and a number of different functions from the county, perhaps housing navigation, perhaps walk-in mental health. We're not sure yet. We still have to finish negotiations. And the other half would be occupied by organizations identified by the Catalyst Fund. It might be the health center, or it might be a number of HAS or SOS. So I'm excited about this potential to come together in a synergistic way with community organizations. So hopefully soon we will have a lease in hand and start the moving vans to move in. We have started with discussions with the city of Sonoma on how we consider shared services between the city and the county. It will be a community conversation, but we have to be very clear about how we set the context and the stage for that community conversation. So that's happening. I've been waiting for the city of Sonoma to settle. Let me see, their council turnover and the city manager hopefully on board. But Mayor Lowe is a force to be reckoned with, so we're moving forward. And I'm not going to talk about Larson Park because I see my two friends from Recreation and Parks to talk about that. But I did invite a lot of the ag and open space folks to come down, do a tour of the valley and potential for matching grants that we might apply for. Not this round because the deadline is Friday, but I have a few things queuing up. And so that will conclude my report unless you have any questions.
Public comment? Are these grants for Larson Park?
I'm going to let the experts talk about Larson Park, and I'm going to have them talk about the challenges of sometimes working with ag and open space. What qualifies, what doesn't.
Are there any comments from the Zoom audience?
Para los miembros del público que desean hacer un comentario, por favor de utilizar la aplicación de levantar mano. Members of the public who wish to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature. No hands, thank you. All right.
Great. Thank you all for being here. It's lovely to see you.
So we have an informational presentation from the Sonoma County Regional Parks Director Bert Whitaker and Parks Planning Manager Steve Barrett. So I said something right, I apologize. On the Larson Park Master Plan, and we'll take comments. Thank you both for being here.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Bert Whitaker, the director with Sonoma County Regional Parks. And with me is Steve Barrett, our head of planning. Just thrilled to be here actually having a conversation about one of our many beloved facilities. We are very busy across the county right now, actually working real hard to take care of the facilities we have, to continue expanding and connecting those facilities, and really trying to work and redevelop some of these facilities that quite frankly they've gotten old. Here in the Valley, we're very pleased to see the progress happening at Maxwell Farms. Steve will just touch on that real briefly in his remarks. But an exciting time, and we're really pleased to be here to show the progress we've made on Larson. We're getting much closer, and happy to answer any questions you have about regional parks here at Larson or the bigger picture of it. It's a really important part of our lives here in the county. So with that, Steve, you want to jump into Larson?
Sure. Next slide, please. So up front, hi, Steve Barrett, Regional Parks Planning Manager. Good to see everybody. You can see our Larson Park, 7 acres, and Maxwell Farms Regional Park, 85. Springs Mac boundary wraps around all of it, combining the most densely populated urban area outside city limits in the county. The back slide, please. Thank you. One of the things to notice about this is that both parks serve the Springs. And Maxwell is a traditional regional park with a lot of mixture of active and passive uses, whereas Larson's like a little mini version. It's, you might say, it has an identity complex between a neighborhood park and a community park. It's tucked into a dense urban neighborhood where Maxwell is situated on a busy arterial, a little bit more regionally located. So they're complementary. They have very different histories, but we're actively engaged in working on them both. Maxwell Farms is the largest capital project we've ever done in our 56-year history. So we have a $7 million project going on right now. And we're trying to gear up for a 3 million or so on Larson. So this is bigger than anything we've done anywhere else in the rest of the county's 1 million acres. Next slide, please. So quick recap. So the project was initiated several years ago, 2015. And we had many workshops, many meetings, many one-on-ones, presentations, surveys, all sorts of different engagement at Lalouse and Flowery and El Verano School and town halls with Supervisor Gorin, Springs, and so on. And all this fed into a master plan that was adopted by the board in 2021. But as you can see, we did not wait to start construction documents. So we wanted to get a jump on, get that moving. as well as, of course, the all-important fundraising, which involves grant writing for us, as well as putting in a little bit of our own money to generate additional money. And we'll talk about that more as we go through. So where we are right now is we're close to 100% construction plans. And we're going from 90 to 100. And we need about 3 months once we have funding in place, unless Supervisor Gorin can help us accelerate and move forward with a little bit of uncertainty. And then we need 4 to 5 months of dry season to actually build, if everything goes right. And that means there's the bids come in where they're estimated and all sorts of things. Next slide, please. There we go. Well, a couple of our photos are rotated in the remediation that happened for accessibility. But here's a few photos from the outreach process. Hopefully many of you got to participate. We had good attendance throughout the time. Couple photos of over at Flowery, the farmers market in the Springs, Lalouse, outreach in the park to different user groups. Next slide, please. Here's the resulting master plan is a plan plus a written document that gives flexibility on some issues. And the interesting thing for us was, we undertook this process with a very open mind. We didn't know where the community would land. And lo and behold, each element at Larson had a constituency behind it. And neighbors and residents and Valley residents, not just local neighbors, that were very enthusiastic about different components. And this doesn't always happen. We have 56 parks. This does not always happen. And where each group, they just wanted it a little bit better. They wanted it new. They wanted it renovated. And there was this kind of balance of power, if you will. The neighbors were willing to tolerate day use of the active sports, where say at Maxwell, we can have big lights and year-round games with artificial turf. That's very different than this neighborhood function here. Little League was happy. And in fact, you had representatives for the creek and the little natural area. You had the playground and the parents, little gathering area, even advocates for the ball wall that few people pay attention to. And arguably, the biggest controversy was really over the pickleball versus tennis. And so we split the difference with converting one court into 4 for pickleball. And of course, this is parallel to our Maxwell Farms Regional Park project, where we have an additional 4 pickleball courts planned to augment the tennis there. We have soccer, we have baseball. So the two are interconnected. This is much more neighborhood scale. So each thing, I didn't mention the community garden, but that as well, each thing is a little bit bigger. The whole site is shifted. It may look like the same park, but it's not. And so for our phase 1, we actually need to rebuild about 2/3 of it in one swoop, because everything is shifting. So soccer, which is very popular, is going to get a little bit bigger. And one of the issues here, next slide, please, is the park wasn't really built correctly originally. And so we learned this lesson the hard way. And I'll get to how we got there, but the subgrade, what's underneath the tennis courts, was never properly prepared, the soils. And so we can't just overlay what's there and just redo and put a little neat topping on it, call it good. We've tried that. It just recracks. We have to redo it all. Think about those big machines that grind up the road and put it back down. Here's a sample of our construction plans, just to show you that we're actually really far along. Next slide, please. So here's some background. The park was donated to us in 1988. And after the Valley of the Moon Park and Recreation District went bankrupt. And it went bankrupt because neighborhood parks and community parks are very, very expensive because they have all this infrastructure compared to, say, a more natural park up in the hills or not. So there wasn't enough funding, and it was donated to the county to take over. With it came no documentation. And the infrastructure, 30 to 50 years old. So the first time I went to Larson was 1986 after school at Altamira. We walked over and, you know, teens need places to go. We didn't have the teen center back there. We didn't have all sorts of things that you have now. But we just wanted a place to get away from adults and not be bothered. And not a lot's changed. Yes, we've upgraded the playground. There's a garden there now. There's a class 1 bikeway running through. But a lot of the old infrastructure is still there, and things need to be redone. So one of the challenges with fundraising is the Springs is it doesn't compete well, it turns out. So relative to Sonoma County, we think of the Springs as perhaps not being as wealthy as many other areas. Relative to the Central Valley in Los Angeles and the Inland Empire, it's really wealthy. So the grants, a lot of the state grants like Prop 68 and so on, you need 51,000 income, and Larson has 80, Maxwell has 70. We get out competed by areas that understandably have even a bigger deficiency in parks. Makes it really challenging. So we've been turned down for a lot of grants. So then on top of that, the Sonoma Valley population isn't very big. I mean, well below 100,000, and we're competing with entities that are millions of people. Next slide, please. So here's where we're at funding wise. We've put in approximately 1.3 of our Parks for All sales tax. We've put in 335 of the county service area. This is the remnants of the park district that lives on. So we do get some money, and it does usually go to annual operations and maintenance. We had a county ADA grant that helped out park mitigation fees. So every time that someone builds a home in the unincorporated county, not an ADU, but a regular single family home, we get a few $1,000s. And so some of that money comes back to parks. And then lastly, our Regional Parks Foundation is feeling very enthusiastic about raising additional funds, and it may climb much higher than the list of 22,000 here. Meanwhile, we've spent over 300,000 to get here. Construction plans take a lot of money. We're paying utility fees for water hookups and the process, the whole bit just to get here. We think we need about, or the actual construction is about 3 to 3.5 million. And this leaves a gap of approximately 1.2 to 1.7. So we continue to fundraise. We have a number of ongoing efforts, and thank you Supervisor Gorn for being such a strong advocate and helping us. But that's a summary. Let's hear a couple items. So the matching grant program. So the matching grant program from our Sonoma County Ag and Ag Preservation Open Space District is geared towards new facilities. So when we applied for Maxwell, we asked for a whole bunch of money, and they were only willing to fund the new pieces, which included some trail work, some restrooms. They weren't willing to fund the fields because the fields were there, even though we were dramatically making the fields more usable, but through artificial turfs that can be used throughout the whole year. Eventually lights will allow nighttime play, leagues will be able to come here. All ages use it, and of course the Boys and Girls Club is anchored there. So very different. And so the reason for this, as we understand it, is the Open Space District isn't wanting entities to try to backfill their maintenance budgets. They want to create new green open space. And this is really typical actually of grant programs. So it's a wonderful grant program. We've made great use of it. We are turning in an application on Friday for a different Snow Valley project. But it's not a good fit for Larson. Larson's a renovation. We are just making it all new and better, but it doesn't qualify whatsoever. Another tidbit, one of our first speakers this evening on Creative Sonoma, there's a number of art projects that are undetermined and captured in the master plan that are available for the community to work with either our community engagement division or others to make it more beautiful, engage people on a deeper level. A master plan doesn't have to get into that level, but it identifies that. So I think there's at least 7 different ones, whether it's whether it's murals or the like. There's more to be done here, and there's more conversations to be had. With that, is there anything you'd like to add? All right. Thank you.
Oops, thank you. I appreciate this. This was very helpful, just getting a summary. Spend pretty much every day in Larson Park, so we know it well. I have a couple of questions. When I look at the map of Maxwell, I heard you say it serves the Springs, but I want to push back a little bit on that because the majority of it appears to be in the city limits. Am I incorrect or correct?
Yes, you're incorrect. So when Maxwell Farms was developed, it was split. So the city took the high revenue generating area for commercial development,
Of course they did.
and the county was left with the park responsibility. The city, for a number of years, helped fund the skate park and recently pulled that back and pulled the $20,000 out of the city budget. So we received no contribution from the city, and it does also serve the city. It's the great meeting place of the whole community here.
So the reason I want to push back on that a little bit, as somebody who lives here, is Maxwell is sort of outside, just outside the Springs, and the Springs is a very walkable community. A lot of our community walks, and so walking down to Maxwell isn't something that most of the people in the neighborhood tend to do. They tend to walk to Larson. And then the other piece that we get a lot of feedback from the community is they're like, I cannot afford to pay for parking all the time going to Maxwell. And so they aren't actually accessing Maxwell and using Maxwell as much because there is a financial barrier there for them. And so I just want to provide that feedback to the county. I know that you guys need to make your money in order to sustain the parks. I completely understand that, but we do have a socioeconomic divide that happens between Highway 12 and Verano. And a lot of our community has shared with us that one of the reasons they don't access Maxwell that much is the parking. So I think that's an important point. And whereas with Larson, the community, it's very walkable. They can access it. It's free. And so it's one of the reasons why it's such a critical piece of the Springs that needs to be renovated, because it's sending a really clear message to the residents of the Springs, sort of about how our government feels about them. I hear things like it's underused. It's not underused, despite how much it's fallen apart. It is used a lot because I'm there every day and there's a lot of people there. I'm not there alone ever. So, you know, I think that piece is important. And then I have a question about the Regional Parks Foundation. So could people donate directly to Larson to fill that financial gap we're waiting on? Can they donate specifically to Larson to the foundation without it going into sort of one big pot? Would they be able to like earmark it?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's something that as a community, we could organize and utilize the foundation as the
Yes.
destination.
Yes. And we're already doing that.
Funds.
And Maxwell also has a separate fund too.
Okay. And is that something that people do by reaching out, or is there like a link? I mean, are we talking about large donations or crowdfunding, small donations?
All of the
Is there
above.
all of the above? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Could you, is there a link directly to that we could access?
Karina, can you find it for us? Sonoma County
But it exists.
Parks Foundation. Oh, absolutely. There's a
yeah,
website.
Like there's a donate
Yep.
button. Okay, that we could direct people to. Okay, thank you. And then I just want to say, I was looking at when I look at the plan, I appreciate the fact that you have sort of kept the integrity of the pieces of what the community really uses and accesses and is just improving on them versus taking them away and completely overhauling them. So I just want to say that I really appreciate that. It is a very beloved park. It is very important to our community. If you go there in the summer, best swimming hole in town. And it's just a very special place. And I look forward to reaching our goal so that we can love it visually the way we actually do. Thank you.
Thanks. Susan.
Yeah, are we allowed to respond?
Sure.
So thank you. Wonderful feedback. We really appreciate it. We agree with the need of trying to make it more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. And so this is why we've invested a few $1 million in Class 1 bikeways. So we negotiated with Flowery School for over a decade to get the trail to wrap through there. We worked with Midpen for also not quite a decade and got the trail through Midpen. That was Sonoma County Regional Parks. We also built the whole Class 1 along Verano that goes all the way down to the bridge. And now we're working with the hotel and housing developer to actually maintain a little parklet on that side. So our responsibility is the Class 1 bikeways, is the separated ones, like the Sonoma Bike Path. Public Works does the road shoulders. So the old plan, and we tried to get a Class 1 along the Highway 12 corridor many years ago. And Caltrans said no, and this was right before the whole Springs Improvement Project. And what resulted, of course, was these nice Class 2 bikeways and sidewalks, but then there's this kind of circuitous route inland that doesn't connect, doesn't have that same functionality. So we've done almost everything we can do that is in the plans, and it has taken, it's taken a good close to 20 years and millions of dollars. We have transit stops, which is also another way for people to get around. We also on the question about the fees, we do have a low income park pass. We do have a veterans pass. We do have an accessibility pass. We do have probably a few more I'm not thinking of.
We got the big use that came to mind to make sure.
Senior pass. So we have many other ways. We also do all sorts of work with the schools and have a subsidized school bus program. But the fact is, on census information, the area around Larson Park is wealthier than the area around Maxwell. And and yes, both parks are very important, but that's one of the things that puts us at a disadvantage is that's the data that we have to use. It's very, very important. And then lastly, the donations of any size are great. And why? Because it shows the community interest. So it's not necessarily, the dollar sign, how much we have. We have, from 50 people, 200 people, whatever it is. And that's really powerful to other grant funders. So it's a real outsized importance.
Thank you.
You got all my points.
Thank you. Jesus?
Hello. I think that you will be my favorite people in the Sonoma County government. Okay, well, my questions are, on your master plan, do you already have a master plan for the Larson's Park that is set and ready, like, will be ready to go once all the funding is,
Yes.
and so you still, so you don't have room for any suggestions or like add-ons onto the plan?
It's difficult at this point. There's some such as, like we haven't, the playground is not included. So there's a future follow-up conversation and planning around that. There's a number of art projects that are, but in terms of the full layout, yes, we're hundreds of thousands of dollars deep in developing the construction plans.
Okay. All right. So my other question, well, I don't know if it's related or if it's under your line of work, but my siblings, members of the community of the Springs, play soccer, and I think their teams, there are a lot of teams, soccer teams in the community, and some of them were punished because they cannot play the Maxwell Park or Larson's Parks for misconduct because they were not using restrooms, but I believe it's because they don't have like proper restrooms, so they had to go to use other facilities like on Bennett Valley or Runner Park to play there. Is that something that you are aware of it? And
yes, we not exactly that they were banished, but we did hear from the neighbors about the issue. And that is why we have a permanent restroom slated for Larson. So we have a new permanent restroom that will be part of the redevelopment. We have new restrooms that are going in at Maxwell as well.
Okay, well, because it will be better, it will be great that well, there is like a sort of re-education for this team, the soccer team, so that they can, you know, don't do that, but also have the facilities for them to use, you know, to go to, because well, they have to drive all the way there, and it's time consuming and also adds to the CO2 emissions. And well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Iris?
Hi, well, actually, my question was first about bathrooms. How many facilities, if it's unisex, whatever, are available in the park? Or will be available in the park when the restrooms are finished?
I believe it's a double stall, but I can check and get back to you.
A double stall for,
Yeah, unisex. Yeah, two.
okay.
So and then for special events, we're excited to be able to host appropriate scaled events at Larson. But there's always the possibility of bringing in additional portables, but portables are not very sustainable, or desirable either, but they're good for surge peak times.
Okay, two restrooms doesn't seem like a whole lot, you know, during a break in soccer when everybody is converging on the restrooms, and to avoid the problem that Jesus alluded to. It seems maybe it could be a little more generous. I understand restrooms are expensive. And I do hope, as Jesus said, I was unaware of the problem, but that the teams would be readmitted to play there, because the situation was definitely not ideal for them. And I think their behavior would be excused or explained, certainly explained, maybe not exactly excused. I am curious about how the income of the area is figured. Admittedly, the neighborhood right around Larson is better off than a lot of people who actually use the park. The people who come to the park to use it, a lot of them are really low income. And so I really question why and how how the numbers are come to, and why we can't make a better argument for pointing out the really seriously low income of the area that is being served by the park. I realize that that's a question that maybe it's not one that you address. But
I
mean,
can answer part of that.
Okay.
Part of that is, so the way these grant programs work is you get a little pin to drop on your project site. And it's got a radius, like a quarter mile or a half a mile. And it's all online. You can go and check it out yourself. The data behind it is 2000 census. And you move it around until you get the lowest number possible. And it has to be on your project site. So you have some flexibility. So the lowest we found wasn't the trailer park area next to Maxwell. It was actually over towards Verano Bridge, which surprised us a little bit. And then at Larson, I can't remember the lowest we could find, but you know, they weren't that far off from each other. I mean, look, the whole area needs investment and needs, you know, it can really benefit from the more we can do, it's going to be well received. It's needed. We can't really change the grant programs and the way they operate, but we can still try every single way we know to get funding for the project.
Okay. Thank you. And the last thing is the low income pass. How is that advertised to people? And my question is, if people get SNAP benefits or the other benefits that are available through the county, does the information come easily with the benefits? Because low income people are pretty stressed.
Yeah.
And they're not, it's like, if it's not easy, forget it.
You make a really good point. And so, yeah, for a number of years now, we've worked really closely with the Department of Health Services, that those individuals in the community receiving those benefits actually get a letter that informs them of the vehicle entry pass, where they can, for $5, basically come into our office and redeem it. We recognize we've been growing the program. We have several thousand recipients now of the low income pass. It's an area where we've actually targeted in the year ahead to make some changes to actually ease some of the criteria, because the reality in Sonoma County is that this sort of state adopted criteria we've been using is not really working for Sonoma County. We're interested in removing that barrier. As Council Winters pointed out, we don't want that $7 parking fee to be a barrier. It's an important part of how we fund the daily operations and maintenance of the facilities. But it's also getting people access first and foremost for their individual circumstance.
You said come into the office to get.
They do. Individuals do have to come in the office, and we are right now. Actually, it's been working through some health providers in Santa Rosa as well as Petaluma, in the two largest cities, to try and pilot some programs where through the health providers we can actually streamline and get those out the door. But that's in year 2 of development, and trying to get that through with all the various, lack of a better term, the hoops we have to jump through in government to make that work.
My question is, why isn't it available to fill out a form online? That is how you get the parks pass if you're paying.
Yeah, no, the way that it is currently set up and regulated for us is the general memberships are available online, but essentially for all the other types of park memberships, including this vehicle entry pass, you do need to provide information and proof to our front office to receive that benefit. We certainly have individuals who do call us, as you point out. It is not a perfect situation, but certainly with disabled individuals and others, we're able to do workarounds with that one that fit within our current requirements. But we're not at a point yet where it's as simple as filling out online and having some database to register those.
Who's responsible for overseeing that kind of thing?
Regional Parks works through with the county council's office as well as our board of supervisors annually to look at these programs and how we maximize getting those opportunities out to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to make a couple of comments. I think if there's an opportunity to revisit the bathroom situation, I think that would be greatly appreciated by many, many people in this community, because that has been a big issue for a long time. And if there's an opportunity to increase that size anywhere in this planning or construction process, I think that there'd be a lot of people who are really appreciative. And if there's and then the other thing that I would ask, and I think I'm asking this of all county kind of benefits, I know we're talking about this property that might come to be in the county for us to have some county services here. But if there's a way to bring some mobile services to this community, I think that would be really appreciated, because it's really hard, as we've all mentioned, that people who are income challenged to get to spend the day, to get on the bus, to go to Santa Rosa, to fill out for a park pass, to come. So there's just a lot of challenges and a lot of barriers. And I know that you're aware of that, but if there's any way that some of these services, and I'm asking Supervisor Gorin as well, some of the things that are more popular or important to folks here, that there's some way to bring those services down here so people can sign up for them. So whatever it may be, I'm just taught that to get a park pass, you have to go to Santa Rosa to get it. So that's what I'm hearing them say. So is there a way that we can have those kinds of things be brought here? So yes, that would be, an example of that. But maybe if we have to wait a really long time for the county hub, maybe it could happen before the county hub. Okay. All right, Supervisor Gard, you remain optimistic. Okay, I'm going to go to public comment. Oh, Joe, I'm so sorry.
No problem. I'm on this side. We're not used to the Zoom screen where we can just see everyone. So I know this is mostly about Larson, but I find myself at Maxwell every day, unsurprisingly. And I know we have lots of rain and all that. Is there an update on the timeline for the first phase of Maxwell to be completed?
So
It stops raining.
yeah, it's weather dependent. And so No, we needed to stop raining to dry out. The fines and the base settled out with all the rain on the fields. And so we're trying to figure out what to do about that, but we needed to stop raining. Beyond that, we have probably two or three more months of work on what we're referring to as phase one. You know, there's a second phase that will be coming later.
The map's on my wall. I looked at it.
And I'm sorry, do you have? I just want to respond on a previous question a little bit more. We actually have park passes in the libraries, in the public libraries all throughout the county. And they come with these adventure backpacks full of goodies for anyone to use. They've been really popular and anyone can check it out. And we have lots of them out there. So
Here in the valley too.
yep,
All right,
absolutely.
thank you.
And you
I'm
guys
gonna-
also have Park RX with Sugarloaf, correct? And Ecology Center.
I know State Parks has a similar program and I'm not, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I've seen your logo on there, so. And then providers can sign that to prescribe you going to nature. So we have that at the health center.
Thank you. Is there public comment from the audience? Can you come to the mic and state your name, please? Thank you.
No, do it that way. Josette Brosiker. I'm a little unclear on the timeline for Larson Park. I'm looking at, let's see, this one here, where was it? Oh, yes. Okay, so this 3 months from securing funds, 4 to 5 months, can you explain a little bit more to me in terms of, real time, when these things are going to start?
So once we have the money,
Thanks,
It-
Bert.
it'll be about 3 months or so.
Okay,
For us to actually award a bid. So we have to
Okay.
put a bid
Okay.
out. There's a whole public contracting process.
okay,
And that's provided, if we get a bid, we can award. It comes in
okay,
within
Right.
our funding range. There's no bid protest. We have to post it, notice it, go to the board of supervisors to award it.
okay,
And then the contractor has to provide bonds and insurance and all this documentation.
okay.
Then we can start construction
Okay.
within the
Okay.
4 to 5 months.
All right. So do you have any thoughts or any feeling as to when you feel the funds would be secured, like, 5 months from now, 10 months from now, what do you think?
We are hopeful that with Supervisor Goran's leadership and our darndest effort here at Parks, that it could be this summer
Oh,
of
okay,
when we can start.
Right.
okay.
But we do not know.
Okay,
Thank
all right,
you.
all right, that's my one question, and then my other question has to do with park usage. I see in here, very, even though it's a little hard to read on my picture, I can see pretty well that this looks really great. But my question is, do you see park usage extending to things like craft fairs, farmers markets, and so on? And if so, do you feel the people surrounding the park that live in the neighborhood will be open to that kind of more intensive activity?
They have been in the past. If parking is always difficult, noise is an issue.
Mhm.
One of the big compromises between all the different interests was not turning it into a night use park with
Okay.
lights. So it's
Okay.
really, there's a little pulse on the weekends and it's relatively quiet during the weeks. It has hosted farmers markets. I don't think it was that terribly successful, and that's why the farmers market moved back onto the arterials. They wanted to have more visibility. But we have a process for groups to apply to use our parks for different events. And so each one of those will be
Okay.
considered.
All right, well,
Okay.
so when you
So
said
I-
that
So
about,
this is public comment and we have
Oh.
passed the 2 minutes
oh,
and
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. And
All
I'm
right.
sure that I know that there's a lot of questions and I'm sure that they'll be happy to answer them through email perhaps.
Yeah, so I will then email you then.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Is there any other public comment online in the Zoom room or anywhere else?
In Zoom, if you can raise your hand, please. We have Linda, Nydia, and then Diana.
Okay.
Linda, go ahead.
Hello, thank you. I am just curious about whether or not the turf is going to be natural or artificial. And whether the bathroom stalls are going to be individual and locking. And is there going to be additional funding for maintenance of the new facilities and enforcement of the parking?
Thank you for the questions. The fields are natural. The bathroom will be locking. One of the goals is that our maintenance dollars can actually be effective instead of us fixing broken water pipes all the time and dealing with crack repair. This is what the renovation is. So the renovation is actually going to cut down our maintenance costs so that we can actually live within our maintenance budget. And then if you want to speak to.
Yeah, I think just on the question of the overall situation with ranger patrols and oversight of the park. Honestly, in the big picture, we don't manage individual parks, we manage units of parks. I'm very pleased that actually as Maxwell Farms gets developed, that's going to become more of a centralized hub for our ranger and our park services to come out of. So there'll actually be an infusion, a greater efficiency with our operations. That's one piece of the component out at Maxwell is having more presence down there, which ties into Larson and being able to respond more. And certainly we work closely at Larson also with our sheriff's office to be responsive there if we're not available, if we're up further north in the valley where we're adequately resourced, but adequately resourced is still spread thin when you're covering a landscape that's the size of Sonoma Valley.
Thank you. Did you say there was addition? I heard two other names, I think.
Nydia, followed by Diana. Nydia, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nydia Figueroa. I live and work near Larson Park. I work at Lulu Center, and we just want to say that we support and appreciate this movement in getting renovations with Larson Park. I think like everyone has said, it really is needed, and we just want to support from La Luz and as a community member say that we're very happy with this movement. So thank you both for presenting and informing us more about it.
Thank you so much.
Diana, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Diana Sanson, and I am a member of the Parks Foundation. So Celeste, I appreciate your enthusiasm to help with the fundraising, and I will be delighted to reach out to you. I will reach out to Karina to get your contact information if appropriate, and we can follow up with you and try and answer some of your questions. My question though, for the presenters is what is in phase one that you mentioned here? Is it most of the park or just pieces of it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Phase one includes the soccer field, the courts, the gathering area, the restroom. We are already working on updating the garden with Sonoma Valley Rotary. Thank you, Rotary. It does not include the baseball field. So the baseball field doesn't really have to move. So basically everything but the baseball field is in phase one.
Thank you so much. No other public comment? Are there any final comments from the council?
I just want to check to make sure there's nothing in the plan that would change or disrupt the creek area. The creek area would remain as it is.
Correct. And so one of our goals through the process was to try to bring this renovation to the community as quickly as possible. If we were to do anything in the creek area, we would have ended up with a much more longer and expensive process. So we're going to continue to do restoration, native plantings, all that's fine. But our property boundary goes about halfway to the dam. And in the past, when we've looked at working with different state and federal agencies to pull the dam, what we learned was that there's two different endangered species that compete with each other. The fairy shrimp, like the dam, salmon, not so much. And so it basically couldn't go anywhere. So we're not messing with the swimming hole. It's still going to be this nice shady place to go down and visit. And honestly, the valley doesn't have enough water that's affordable. That's where we all can go. And we're well aware of the value of it.
Thank you. That was the happy answer. I didn't want the swimming hole next to it.
I knew you were going.
And you gave me the answer that made me happy. So thank you.
Thank you both. Anything else from anyone? Okay, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for taking the time to be here today. Appreciate it. Okay. That closes item 7. Item 8. Sonoma County Transit. We will receive an informational presentation from Sonoma County Transit Systems Manager Brian Albee, and on the Sonoma Rohnert Park route and other Sonoma Valley routes. And thank you, Brian, for being here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Supervisor Gorn said, this is my first public meeting in 3 years, so people do have legs, and yes, this is interesting times. But thank you for inviting me here tonight to talk about Sonoma Valley to Rohnert Park service. From the comments that's been received over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of interest in this, and we're prepared to do it. We just need to figure out how to do it and how much time it will take and where the service starts. We know it will end at Credo High School or Sonoma State. Maybe for a little background, Karina, if you could show the Route 44 schedule, which no one can read. There we go. Okay, we interest in a route from Sonoma Valley has been around for a year, maybe longer. We were able to make some changes with our December schedule changes last, I think December 11th, somewhere around that time. And we'll start with the afternoon trips that if you go down to, I guess, the lower schedule, to the southbound schedule. There we go. And you can see the 3:45 trip. That's what we put in, because what complicates transit service over to the valley is that we don't have just one bus coming from the valley to Santa Rosa or to Rohnert Park, Cotati. We have one bus coming from the valley to Santa Rosa, which is our intercity Route 30. But coming around the other way, we have the 30 that operates from Cottingtown through downtown Santa Rosa, up the valley to the Sonoma Plaza. From the Sonoma Plaza, we have a Route 40 that operates from Sonoma Plaza to the Petaluma Transit Mall, which is adjacent to the SMART station. And from there, transfers can be made to other Sonoma County Transit routes, to Petaluma Transit and to SMART and Golden Gate Transit. From there, buses or routes 44, 48 provide service between Petaluma and Santa Rosa, serving Rohnert Park and Cotati. That is our largest route, our heavily used route. And we have trips, that's the largest service day that we have. So to get from Sonoma Valley to Rohnert Park, you have to use 3 routes. And so what we did in December is we started a bus up at Sonoma Mountain Village, just outside the school, 3:45, and we called it a Route 44 Express. And it comes down, if you can go up the schedule just a bit, and you see we get to the Petaluma Transit Mall at 4:14. That same bus turns into a Route 40 at 4:25, then comes over to the valley, and it ends up at the Petaluma Transit Mall about 40 minutes, I think, after that. And do you have the Route 40 schedule there? So we go 4:14 to, and if we blow that up a bit and look at the eastbound schedule. So from the Transit Mall, we leave at 4:25 and we get in Sonoma Plaza at 5:10. So that is really the most direct service that we have. Because we have to go through the Transit Mall in Petaluma, it takes longer, and then we run the route over here. But we're not just serving school kids. Public transit has to serve everybody There is a route network that all the routes are based upon. We can run service to schools, but we can't run just exclusive school service. So all of our service has to be on a schedule, has to be published, and has to be open door for anyone that comes along. So so that's what we have in the afternoon, and that works really well. In terms of one bus will bring you all the way over to Sonoma Plaza. Now, from the Sonoma Plaza to get further on, you have the Route 30, which the bus, when it gets into the plaza at 5:10, it turns into the 30, and then it goes towards Santa Rosa. So we come into the valley and continue on to Glen Ellen and Kenwood and just make our way back to Santa Rosa. So effectively, you could get on the school at on the bus at Credo and stay on the same bus. It does the 44 Express, it does the 40, and then the 30. It's all one bus. So it makes a big loop all the way back to Santa Rosa. It just takes time to get over here. I know there was comparisons with what we do in Sebastopol on Route 26. That's really a straight shot. I mean, there's much less traffic lights and just a higher speed of travel. And we've served Credo for many years from Sebastopol. But we can do it here. We just can't do it as fast. And because of the geography and just how the routes work, it just takes much longer to do. And so if you go back to, let's go back to the 40 schedule. I'm sorry, Karina. You look back at the 40. There we go. And what the problem is now is the afternoon, I said, works pretty well. The morning is where we're deficient. Right now, to get to Credo High School, you have to be on the 6:15 bus leaving the Sonoma Plaza. And that gets to the Petaluma Transit Mall, where it turns into a 44, and then it gets into the school about if you can go to the 44 schedule again. And this would be the northbound. So we have to go up to the page, on top of the page. And you can see, there we go. Okay, so we are at the Petaluma Transit Mall. We connect with the 7:15 trip. And then we get to the Credo High School at 7:42. They don't start till 8:30. And so we're very early. And so that's what we focused our efforts on to work out better for an August change. And we put in a new trip that would leave the plaza at 7 o'clock and get the kids to school at 8:15, and then continue to Sonoma State at 8:19. It would also serve the Petaluma JC campus, getting there at 7:59. So we save 45 minutes in the morning. But if you're traveling from further back in the valley coming up, we're doing the 7 o'clock 40 trip with a bus that's a Route 30 bus that will actually deadhead to just into Boys Hot Springs. It will go into service, and so we'll serve the valley area, then get up at the plaza at 7 o'clock, and then make our way to Corona Park. It still is a very early day, and then of course the afternoon trip is similar to what I explained. It's a long day to commute, but there is some options. With what we did in December, we don't really have many riders on this trip. So hopefully if we put it in a good morning piece, then it's a good alternative that people will give it a try. So I like to come back and talk with you in about a month or maybe 2 months when we get kind of our plans worked out a little more succinctly. If I know you got a lot of public comment, that you want to have a public meeting out here to talk about. What we don't really know is where all the kids live, if they're up in Sonoma Valley or up in the valley here or up in Sonoma. We want to make what we can do the most efficient But we still need some more information and we'll be working with the school also on this.
Thank
So-
you. All right, is there a comment from the council?
First of all, I want to thank you for all the energy that you put into this and spending and taking the time and doing that. As somebody who grew up in this valley as a kid and relied heavily on the county bus system, not only as a teenager, I did as a young adult and a single mother who couldn't afford a car, but was putting herself through college. And I used to take the 30 to Santa Rosa JC with a baby, who then became a toddler by the time I finished and was ready to transfer. And, you know, sometimes my classes did not align with the bus schedule. And I would have to get there early. And it was also an opportunity to work on some assignments, get something to eat, kind of get myself ready for the day. And it wasn't that big of a deal. And so I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of be their curmudgeon in the room because we have valley schools. And when you make a choice in school choice to choose a different school outside of the valley, you're making a choice to take on the additional responsibility of transportation. And I appreciate something you said, that it is not Sonoma County Transit's responsibility to provide bus services to the schools. Schools have their own transportation, and if charter schools want to take that on, they are welcome to do so. Our regular K-12 traditional public schools provide bus transportation, and it's an additional expense, and it's worked into the budgets. And, you know, 48 minutes early doesn't sound like a deal breaker to me. That sounds like a great opportunity to have something to eat in the morning, work on some assignments, connect with some friends before class gets started, and then start your day. And so I have to be honest, I'm a little taken aback by some of the public comments. I don't actually consider this an equity issue. Equity is about creating opportunities in your local area to access. And there are public schools in our local area to access with bus transportation to them. Again, if you choose something outside of that, you're willing to take that on yourself. So that's what makes this not an equity issue. I think that Sonoma County Transit has gone to great lengths in the last couple of years to improve their bus stops, to improve their service, to streamline it to larger community needs. We don't have colleges in Sonoma Valley, so a lot of our college students in the Valley, that is an equity issue. There isn't an opportunity in the Valley for them to attend college. They must attend college outside of Sonoma Valley. And I think the transit system has done a really good job of having regular stops at both the JC campuses and SSU. Again, I'm somebody who took those frequently, and they worked well with my ever-changing semester schedule. So I just would like people in the community to take a step back and to sort of reevaluate what equity means, and to understand that, you know, we all make choices as parents. I've made educational choices, and we have to factor in what works for our families. And sometimes we have to do extra things with our choice to provide our children, you know, the opportunity that we feel is best for them. But that doesn't mean that the opportunity doesn't exist close by that you could also choose to take. And again, that's when we're talking about equity, what that means and what that looks like. So again, I appreciate the effort you put into this and your willingness to consider the community needs and to readjust the schedules as needed to meet the community needs. And I thank you for it, because there's a lot of people who really do rely heavily on our county transit system.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other? Iris, Jesus, Mari Carmen, and Joe? Okay.
And can I just add, Brian is amazing. Don't ever retire, because when I've requested bus stops and benches, he's right there putting them in. It's been amazing and fabulous. And if we take, and thank you, Celeste, for your comments. If we take the long view, let's follow the feasibility of the SMART train expanding into Sonoma Valley. Could we live that long? And then it might be an easier connection going into Petaluma and then up taking the train. So hope springs eternal. You're right. I'm an optimist.
Thank you. So I think I said Iris, Jesus, Mari Carmen, Joe.
Thank you for coming and facing all this. When I, when my daughter was at the middle school and the high school, I had a job in Petaluma. I looked at commuting on the bus. It meant that I would have been away from home about 12 hours a day. It was absolutely not worth it. And so I kept on driving. But one of the goals of the county is to decrease our carbon footprint. And if bus service doesn't expand, that's not going to happen really, because people's only feasible way of getting around. I was, a choice between spending that much time away from home and not being with my daughter was just a deal breaker. So that's, that's where I'm at with that. And I really do feel that, in a sense, build it and they will come. If we had better bus service that would met the needs of the people. And the valley is isolated. Really, it is isolated. And that's one of the reasons we don't have very good bus service. And I recognize that.
Thank you, Iris.
That's mine.
Jesus?
Thank you so much for being here. I have a little question. I recall reading somewhere that about 6% of the Petaluma, SRJC Petaluma campus students are from Sonoma Valley. So that's, to me, a really low percentage of students. And that also, I think it's related to this issue in particular, because I'm a little concerned about feasibility, or what do you call it? Like, is it sustainable to have a bus route from Sonoma to directly to SRJC, Petaluma, Credo High School, and Sonoma State? I also use the bus for a long time, and I liked it a lot. But I also I had the same situation like with Iris. I would spend so much time on the bus, so it was very inconvenient, or it was very difficult for me to use the bus. And so I decided to drive, because I also had to work. But I see a lot of support from the community that they really want this route, and they have apparently they're like around 1,500 possible students that could be going on that route. So that, for me, it's positive and optimistic. I'm just a little concerned about sustainability, because if we create that bus route and it's the bus empty, it's sad, because why would we create it? But I will totally be in support of that if students use it. And I think that in America, we create cities for cars and not for public transit, and that's the major reason why we have so much cars.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Mari Carmen?
Yes, thank you, sir, so much for coming out and giving us this presentation. First of all, I actually personally didn't really know about this route, so it's been a pretty well kept secret. And I am so happy that it does exist now, not only in the case for the high school students that I know they've chosen for whichever reason, the high school, but I think as council members have been saying, it has been a missed opportunity for education during like summer camps, like at Sonoma State, for middle school students, for high school students, going to like Upper Bound for like academic college readiness. A lot of parents are not able to actually take time off of work to take their kids to these opportunities. You have to eventually like, for example, now, like the Tinker Academy, which is free. They're gonna, it's gonna be from 9 to like 4 p.m. But usually that's a time that parents have to be working. So you have middle school students who can be missing from this opportunity of attending a free STEM academy. So I think that this is with promoting this route more, it really is going to be able to bring more opportunities, not only for middle school and high school students, for kids going to junior, the JC, going to Sonoma State, not only for academic, but also sports. A lot of kids that want more activities, like soccer, like they have better teams, like higher, goodness, I don't know what you call them, but like the different levels of soccer or even baseball, going to Runner Park. So I think it's really going to expand the horizon, not only for more better academic access, but also for sports. And this will help the mental health of our teens. And also in case a lot of people that want to do adult education, ESL students, people that want to do their GED, that want to finish, people that are afraid of driving, out of Sonoma, kids that are in college and that are afraid of driving, and for that reason can't access because they don't want to drive, and have anxiety of learning how to drive. So thank you so much. This really, I'm going to be promoting this route way more now that I know about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Joe.
First, thank you for saying what you said, Celeste, so I didn't have to be the one to say it. Brian, thank you so much for explaining this. Looking at it, it didn't make sense to me, but now it totally does. Thank you for explaining how the routes all run. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I like that there's a way for our graduating teens to get to those schools, because there's not another way for a lot of them. So thank you. That's all.
Good.
Thank you. We will. Is there any public comment in the Zoom room?
Yes, we do have a raise.
Okay, so how many are there?
So far, one.
Okay. So I'm trying to calculate the amount of time because we have quite a bit of public comment, and I'm going to read 90 seconds of it. We're going to do 90 seconds of each one of them. Brian, I really want to thank you. You've been really a delight to work with on so many things, the bike racks and everything, and I appreciate you coming here to explain this to us. I'm going to read these, so if you want to take a seat for a few minutes, so you don't have to stand there the whole time. We've had 12 public comments, and as I mentioned, I'll be reading 90 seconds of them and then move on to the next. So can somebody watch the timer for me and tell me to stop reading because I can't do both. Okay, so we propose a new direct bus route from Sonoma Valley to Rohnert Park with an emphasis on serving educational institutions, Petaluma SRJC, Credo High School, Sonoma State University. In addition to serving students, this route would also serve employees of these educational institutions and nearby businesses. The proposed route would be the equivalent of an existing Route 26, Sebastopol, Rohnert Park, Cotati, that brings students from Maribel Park, Forestville, Sebastopol to Credo High School and SSU in the morning and returns in the afternoon. This proposed route would increase equity and access to public transit and educational access for residents of Sonoma Valley compared to other parts of the county, such as West County. Detailed route proposal. Morning, the proposed route is 28 miles, comparable in mileage and timing to Route 26, 22 miles. The route would begin in Glen Ellen and Glen Ellen Market Stop and proceed south on Arnold Drive and Highway 12 with limited stops in Agua Caliente, Boys Hot Springs, El Verano. The bus would then leave Sonoma Valley, taking Highway 16 to Old Adobe Road, turning onto East Washington, then Sonoma Mountain Parkway to serve Petaluma SRJC. The bus would then continue on to Eli Road, Road Highway, Petaluma Hill Road, turning onto Valley House to serve Credo High School, continuing there to SSU. The maps are on the following page. The bus in the afternoon would do the same in reverse. Route timing. Morning would be Thank you. Likely to depart Glen Ellen at 7:15 or 7:20. Thank you. That's the end of that public comment.
Chair Turek, just want to remind you if you can state the name of the individual.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't on. Let me see if I can figure that out. Because I think this was
If you're reading in order, that should be from Jennifer.
this one, that one was, my apologies, that was from Jennifer Palladini. Okay,
And Chair Turek, if I
Ye-
may, there.
yes,
is-
tell me.
There is one person, I think you misheard me. There's one person online waiting to make a comment.
Okay, do you want me out? Can I continue with this and then we'll take them? Thank you. Okay, this is from Anna Som. Hello, I'm a parent of an incoming freshman fall 2023 student who will be attending Credo High School in Roanoke Park. My family and I live in the town of Sonoma. The drive to Credo High School from our home is approximately 35 minutes one way. My husband and myself would greatly benefit from the proposed bus route from Sonoma to Roanoke Park, Credo High School and back. We both work 8 to 4 p.m. jobs, making it impossible for to get our daughter to and from school each day. There are a number of other students' families from Sonoma that find themselves in very similar predicament. My daughter would use this service every day if it were an option, and I know other families whose children will be attending Credo High School who would use this service as well. I truly hope that this proposal is accepted, as it would help my family and so many others tremendously. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration. Excuse me. I may not make it through all this. Why hog all the fun?
This one is from Andrea Ackman-Kans. Dear Sonoma County Supervisor, Sonoma County Transit Authority, and Springs Municipal Advisory Council. I am writing to you as the Executive Director of Credo High School in support of a new direct bus route linking the Sonoma Valley with educational institutions in Cotati, Petaluma, Runner Park, including Credo High School. Credo High School is a tuition-free college prep public Waldorf independent charter school authorized by the Cotati Runner Park Unified School District. We offer a rigorous academic curriculum that exceeds the University of California admission requirements and includes a full complement of enrichment subjects, including printmaking, sculpture, media arts, blacksmithing, woodworking, farming, theater, American music, orchestra, world percussion, eco robotics, and more. In 2021, Credo was recognized as the California Distinguished School. Because of our strong academics and unique enrichment offerings, we attract students from across Sonoma County and beyond, including 55 students in Sonoma Valley. Many of our
All right, this is from Dr. Alexa Forrester. Dear Springs Municipal Advisors, thank you for taking time to seriously consider the possibility of creating a bus line to serve local residents and help increase equitable access to educational opportunities for all in the county. I am writing to support a 1 or 2 year pilot of a route connecting Glen Ellen through Sonoma to SRJC Petaluma, SSU, and Roanoke Park High Schools. The detailed proposal is here with a link. As a Sonoma County transit rider, mother of school children, and instructor at SRJC, I regularly see how limited transit options directly translate into limited opportunity for county families and kids. The new pilot line can be modeled off of the already well-used Line 26 from an equity perspective. It is unfair that families in West County are being afforded these resources and support from the county when the families in the Springs community and Sonoma are not. Further, there is no way to truly gauge demand or lack thereof for this route without actually creating the route and letting it run for 1 or 2 years. The county may claim that they already have bus service, but the current routes are so burdensome in terms of travel times that most families cannot consider them a practical option. In light of the county's equity and climate goals, we need to be willing to experiment with solutions like these. End of that one. Let's pass all around.
This is from Elizabeth Greggio, co-chair Sonoma Valley Earth Care Alliance. I am writing on behalf of the 35 members of the Sonoma Valley Earth Care Alliance to support the proposal for a new Sonoma Valley direct bus route to Cotati-Rohnert Park. The proposal under review focuses on a population that should be better served by public transit, specifically students, faculty, and staff of the following educational institutions: Petaluma SRJC, Sonoma State University, and the 2 free public charter schools that enroll 55+ Sonoma Valley students. This proposal is particularly pertinent because the Sonoma Valley is currently underserved by public transportation compared to other parts of the county along the 101 corridor that have more bus service and more access to SMART. This disparity in access to public transportation for Sonoma Valley residents needs to be rectified for reasons of equity and access to education. There is an additional reason for supporting this proposal, however, one that is particularly important to the members of the Earth Care Alliance: the need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Our organization is committed to affecting reductions in greenhouse gas emissions whenever possible. The Sonoma County Board of Supervisors adopted the climate emergency resolution in 2019. To be faithful to that intention, the Board of Supervisors must recognize that growing congestion in automobile transportation along our crowded highways is the leading source of greenhouse gas emissions. And on. That looks like it. Thanks.
For the record, this one is from Genevieve Berton. I am writing in support of the proposed direct bus route linking the Sonoma Valley with Cotati and Rohnert Park, including direct service to Petaluma SRJC, see proposal in parentheses. As a parent, I have greatly benefited from the direct services connecting Sebastopol to Sonoma. Oops, sticky on the way. State and Credo High School, line 26. This critical transit allows my child to access quality education at both Credo and Sonoma State while removing costly burdens from my family and the planet. The service is widely utilized daily by many students traveling from West County to the Rohnert Park, Cotati area. My child also takes this line to connect with other important services in Rohnert Park and with her friends from other parts of the county. In addition to allowing our family greater access to educational institutions and support services, the process of taking public transit itself has been a beneficial learning opportunity for our children. Students from an early age how to navigate public transportation, rely on and understand municipal services, and gain independence in a safe and sustainable way. Riding the bus has also encouraged my child to take other public transit instead of relying on me or other parents, including the SMART train and city transit services. As an urban planner, I understand the complexity aligning transit services with educational schedules, locations, and events. When I was at Santa Monica College, SMC, I helped to create 3 new lines that connected students from all over Los Angeles County to the SMC. These lines were highly successful, and that's 0. Oops. Your
turn. This is from David Morrill. Dear members of the Springs MAC, I write to you as chair of the new City of Sonoma Climate Action Commission as a president on the board of directors of Sonoma Ecology Center. While this letter reflects my own views rather than those of either organization, I note my position to suggest my knowledge of and commitment to effective climate action now in our home area. From this From this perspective, I am convinced that it is imperative for Sonoma County to take every opportunity to aggressively respond to the climate emergency increasingly unfolding around us, from fires to drought and beyond. As you are well aware, transportation is far and away the leading source of our county greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, improved public transportation is critical to meeting our climate goals. I am pleased to express my strong support for creation of a new direct public bus service linking Sonoma Valley with the Cotati Runner Park area. I understand that the success of Route 26 serving riders from West County into this area in recent years demonstrates that a similar route from Sonoma Valley will similarly achieve high ridership, even with perhaps only 2 buses per day. Such a route will considerably reduce carbon emissions and vehicle congestions, and will all allow increasing access for our Sonoma Valley residents to important educational institutions, including county's only 4-year college.
No, you want me to go? I got it. We'll just rotate back and skip you. Okay. Okay. This one is from Richard Dale, and it's from the Sonoma Ecology Center. Dear Sonoma County Supervisor, Sonoma County Transit Authority, and Springs MAC, Sonoma Ecology Center writes today in support of a new direct bus route providing service between Sonoma Valley and educational institutions in Cotati, Petaluma, and Runner Park. Our programs reach about 1,100 students annually, including our teen internship program. We have seen how young people in the Sonoma Valley feel isolated from the rest of the world. For young children, this may be a blessing, but for teens and young adults, it can crush their sense of possibility for their lives. Free or low-cost public transit access to the busier parts of Sonoma County is needed so that these young people can find their opportunities. Currently, transit access to SSU, Credo High, Tech High, and Petaluma SRJC is prohibitively time-consuming and unrealistic. A student with 2 working parents or without access to a car just cannot access these institutions. There has to be a better way, one that is in line with Sonoma County's commitments to climate leadership and social justice. Providing bus service for students to access more of the 101 corridor, where there are so many things for them to do, would help address the stark inequities of mobility, education, sports, and opportunity faced, especially by kids who live in the Springs, and highlighted by the 2021 portrait of Sonoma County. Reducing traffic and emissions created by the single occupant or carpool vehicles is currently traveling between Sonoma Valley and Petaluma/Runner Park area is another reason for a new bus route. Since this route is for education access, it only needs to run 2 or 3 times a day, which saves.
From Alan Kjeldsted, Kjeldseden. Dear council members, I am writing in support of creating a bus line that would connect Sonoma Valley to the educational facilities of Credo High School, Santa Rosa JC, Petaluma campus, and the Sonoma State University. I am the fortunate recipient of parents' efforts to create Sonoma County Transit Bus Route 26. Knowing that this bus line existed allowed us to consider Credo High School as a viable option for our 2 high schoolers. Currently, the bus is full every morning and afternoon with Credo students and various other riders. Prior to the pandemic, 2 buses were necessary to accommodate this amount of students on the bus to and from the Sebastopol area. I have confidence that parents and students will support the bus option if given the opportunity. I also have experience as a bus rider when I was a Sonoma State student traveling daily from Santa Rosa. I believe that our traditional car culture needs to end. Public transit is a positive improvement for the environment, social growth, and skill building. We all understand the environmental benefits of taking approximately 40 to 50 vehicles, parents and students off the road. Other additional benefits include social time for young adults on the bus. High schoolers have surprisingly little time at school for social interaction, and they are still recouping lost skills, social time and skills from the pandemic. Riding the bus encourages independence and responsibilities. That is getting to the bus on time, having money, paying attention to where to get off. Almost finished.
I am reading from Viola Palladini. Dear members of the Spring SMAC, I am Viola Palladini, a freshman at Credo High School. I am writing to ask you to support a bus that goes to Runner Park from Sonoma. Many of my friends live in Sebastopol and they take a public bus to school. It's unfair that there's not one from Sonoma. I have taken the bus to Sebastopol to go to a friend's house before, and it has been very helpful to be able to be more independent. It is hard to arrange carpools for everyone coming from Sonoma, and many people do not go to Credo because it is a challenge for parents to get them to school. If we had a bus like the other surrounding areas, many more people would have this option. Sonoma is very isolated from other places, and it makes it very hard for teenagers. Sonoma is a small town, and there's not many things for us to do here. We are not able to go to other places because of lack of transportation, like my friends who live in other places. I hope you will consider it, I hope you will make it easier for people to get to other parts of the county from Sonoma. Sincerely, Viola Palladini.
All right, this is from Meredith Reboledo. It's Rebolledo. Karina, I would like to request that this public comment be acknowledged at the meeting. My son is a sophomore at Credo High School in Rohnert Park. For the last year and a half now, we have had to organize a carpool every school year to get my son to school and back. He was a Woodland Star charter school prior, and 1/3 of 8th grade year graduating class, 1/3 of his graduating class attends Credo High now. There's a real need to get the over 50+ students like my son to school and back from Sonoma Valley. Next year, my daughter's 8th grade Woodland Star charter school class, around 15 of the 20 of the students will be going to Credo. So a lot more families will need to get their kids to school in the year to come. It would be a fantastic option to have these students take the bus to get safely to and from the valley to Rohnert Park. Currently, there are Credo High students that take public transit 2 hours every afternoon from school to Santa Rosa, and then another bus in order to get home to Sonoma Valley every day. There's a dire need for a link to a bus line to that part of the county so these students can get to school safely. It has been proven successful in Sebastopol area, and where a bus route for many years has been getting those students safely to Rohnert Park to school. I truly hope that we can add a line in Sonoma Valley too. Thank you for your time.
Okay, this one's from SRJC Petaluma, dated March 7, 2023. Sonoma County Board of Supervisors, Sonoma County Transit Authority, and Spring SMAC regarding a direct bus route linking the Sonoma Valley with SRJC Petaluma. Dear Board of Supervisors, SCTA, and Spring SMAC, my name is Dr. Matthew Long, and I serve as the Chief Administrator of the Petaluma campus at Santa Rosa Junior College. We serve approximately 6,000 students a year, many of whom are first-generation college students and come from underserved communities. On behalf of Santa Rosa Junior College Petaluma campus, we would like to express our support for 2 items. 1, a new direct bus route linking Sonoma Valley with Petaluma SRJC. 2, a direct no-stop bus route from SRJC Santa Rosa campus to the SRJC Petaluma campus. For many of our students, county bus transit represents the only option for transportation. Up to the current day, bus transit from Sonoma Valley to our campus has been extremely slow and problematic to make it simply not a choice anyone would make. Sonoma Valley is underserved with direct service only to 2 cities. In addition, the route
last one.
This is from David Liebman and Abigail Zogger. Dear members of the Springs Municipal Advisory Council, the Santa Rosa Junior College Sustainability Committee is writing in support of the proposed direct bus line linking the Sonoma Valley with Cotati and Rohnert Park, including direct service to Petaluma SRJC. Access to and success in all SRJC educational and extracurricular programs depends on our community's ability to get to and from our campuses in a convenient, safe, and affordable way. As we seek to lower the carbon footprint and other negative impacts of our community's transportation to and from SRJC campuses, we support solutions that simultaneously help our community members overcome transportation insecurity and increase mobility options for all residents. The Petaluma SRJC campus is geographically the closest institution of higher education to Sonoma residents, but transportation barriers prevent access by those that are unable to drive. We encourage the Springs Municipal Advisory Committee and the Sonoma County Transit to support the
Do you
addition
want to say something?
route and continue to explore ways to increase access to convenient, safe, and affordable ways for residents to access educational programs.
Thank you all so much. I'm so sorry that I apologize for that. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Doing all that. So do we have, so we have a public comment on the screen? Yes. Go ahead.
Linda, if you can hear us, please state your name and begin your comment.
Hi, my name is Linda Odetto, and I would like to say that, yes, it is a choice for us to send our son to Credo High School. And it is because there is a school in Sonoma, this town, that is also a Waldorf. It goes, most of you know it, you have to, Woodland Star. It goes to 8th grade, where we choose to send our kids to Credo High School because it is a continuation of that Waldorf education. There are several students that come from Sonoma Valley, and up into 50, 60 kids come from this valley, not to mention the kids that drive in from Napa that could utilize the bus from the valley to the school in Rohnert Park. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for school students either. It could be collaborating with workers into the valley coming from Cotati, because there is a shortage of workers coming into this valley, and it's too difficult for people to get in here to do the service work and whatever driving in. There's no reason why that bus can't be utilized to bring workers into town after dropping the students off on an express bus to Credo High,
Thank you.
the Santa Rosa Junior College, Sonoma State, and Tech.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, is there additional comment from the public here?
Hi, my name is Annette Goodfriend, and I'm the 8th grade class representative for Woodland Star. So I just wanted to add that we have 15 8th graders right now that intend to go to Credo. So that would be on top of the 55 other Valley residents. So we're looking at about 70. So I think the ridership would be really high. So we're totally in support of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mike Palladini. My family and I live in Sonoma Valley, and my daughter Viola, who you heard from, is a freshman at Credo High. I'm here to voice my strong support for a new direct bus route from the Sonoma Valley to Rohnert Park with an emphasis on serving educational institutions, including Petaluma SRJC, Credo High School, and Sonoma State University. This route would also serve, as was just mentioned, employees of these educational institutions and nearby businesses. I can tell you from firsthand experience that a lack of public transit is a strain on families with 55+ students attending Credo High. From the Sonoma community. Unlike communities along the 101 corridor, the Sonoma Valley is not served by SMART, making it all that much more important that we receive adequate options for transit on intercity bus routes. The population size of the Sonoma Valley warrants better connectivity. Current intercity trips from Sonoma require stopping at transit malls in Petaluma and Santa Rosa, lengthening the time required for travel. A new direct bus route from the Sonoma Valley to Runner Park would likely enjoy high ridership, similar to the high ridership on the existing Route 26 from West County, which has been mentioned, which serves fewer students in a smaller population. Providing better bus service along this route would have the added benefit of reducing the number of cars driven to Petaluma, Cotati, and Runner Park, both helping the county to achieve its greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals and reducing traffic in an already overburdened transportation corridor. I would again strongly urge the county to adopt a new direct bus route from the Sonoma Valley to Runner Park to better serve residents of the Sonoma Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. I'll take final comments from council. I think Jesus has something to say.
My question is for Karina. Karina, I'm a little frustrated that we only have 1 minute and 30 seconds to read these comments, because I think that all people deserve to be heard of. But I also understand that this meeting is being very lengthy, and I can see on your faces. But is there a way that also other members of the public have access to these comments, or is that only for us? That's my question.
Absolutely. First of all, the time on each item is selected by the chair. She can select if it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the amount of public comment. All the public comment received prior to the meeting in advance in time for agenda posting is included in the agenda package and can be found on the Spring SMAC website. And so does that answer your questions? Yes, it's available for the public.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you so much.
I just want to comment on that. We made the conscious decision to read them this time. In the past, we were just allowing them to be posted. And so that was a change to make sure that people's voices were heard. But to read everyone's comments for more than 90 seconds would really, I can summarize them. There's some options. And I actually think I'm going to suggest at future agenda items, but I'll wait for that topic to come up. Are there any more comments on the current item? Celeste.
I do see Linda already commented, and it should be noted that you're allowed to make one comment per item. But I do see another raised hand.
Okay. And then we'll go back to the council.
Seth, go ahead.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, and thank you for considering this important transit option for Sonoma Valley students. I wish to support the proposed bus route from Sonoma to Runner Park area. I'm a proud parent of a Sonoma Valley middle school student who will be attending Credo High School next year, and the proposed bus option for Sonoma Valley families is excellent. All of us in Sonoma appreciate the county's commitment to reducing greenhouse gases and keeping this area the jewel of the North Bay. This proposed bus route would save tons of greenhouse emissions annually, reduce traffic on already overloaded roads, and enrich the lives of Sonoma Valley families. The Sonoma Valley is vastly underserved when it comes to public transit, and the proposed bus route would be a huge step in the right direction to provide equity and, more importantly, access for students and residents to achieve their educational goals. Education connects motivation with opportunity. So many Sonoma Valley residents and students have motivation, but just don't have the opportunity because of the lack of access to higher learning. This bus route would immediately change that. I speak in strong support of this proposed Sonoma Runner Park bus route, which is a fantastic way to reduce pollution, traffic congestion, and encourage the use of meaningful, well-planned public transportation. This is an investment in the Sonoma Valley's future. Thank you for your time and consideration. Have a good evening.
Through the chair, there is another raised hand, and I do want to remind Linda, it is one opportunity per item.
Okay, I'm going to take this comment.
Thomas, go ahead. Thomas, if you can hear us, please begin your comments, state your name for the public record. Thomas, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to respond to you, but the Zoom this is the first installation of Zoom on this new phone. And so that was a first for me to go through that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. This is great. We met with and heard from the people sponsoring the effort to secure transit for students. That was through our Transportation Land Use Committee, and we're very supportive of that. And the other thing is, I think it goes, hand in a glove with the fact that the Valley is underserved with respect to higher education in general. So both, whether it's preparatory schools like Credo or, Sonoma State or the junior college or anything else, it's a little bit, it's clearly underserved. And so we're hoping, we would like to see extensions and so on of other universities to be there in the SDC property, because it's specifically built for state occupation. So any kind of state type of facility, schools, anything like that, those buildings can be used. And there's not only that, there's a hospital there which could be used for nurses training and so on, that would be there. And what my point is that people do need to transit out of the Valley and go to the main school and so on. But
Conclude your time.
thank you.
Chair Eturi, there is one more comment. I apologize to the public connected on Zoom.
I did say that, right?
Thank you. So I want to address this because I want to make sure that people understand why I take the position I do on this. Because I think that there may just be people sort of just don't understand the requirements of transportation in public education in California, and the difference between those requirements and county public transportation. So the state of California is one of 12 states that is not required to provide public school transportation, but many and most districts do. Although there is some legislation coming forward that may change that, and public transportation may be required for all public school students in the state of California, but that's still in the works and it hasn't been fully put all the way through and signed. But it is legislation that there is being worked on. But currently, that is how transportation in public education works. It's an option for districts. And so here in Sonoma Valley, we do have school district transportation for the our K-12 traditional schools. We have 2 charter schools here in the Valley. Charter schools, while the district may hold their charter schools are responsible for their own implementation. They have their own governing body and their own budget and their own implementation of their school curriculum, et cetera. And that would include transportation. So a charter school could themselves, if they chose, provide transportation and work that into the budget the same way that a school district does. A county department of public transportation provides public transportation to the entire county. And they are not responsible for providing transportation for LEAs. So the school districts are responsible for their own. And so that's why I take this position. Again, the MAC does not make any decisions. We are an advisory body. We all have different opinions. But, I look at governance and I look at the different categories of governments and who's responsible for what. And that becomes really important because you can't overburden one entity with the responsibility of another entity. And it sounds like there are a lot of students from Sonoma who travel to Credo, and I would really encourage Credo to look at their budget and maybe consider creating a transportation line from Sonoma Valley to their school if they have that need. But it doesn't seem appropriate to expect county transportation to provide specific school transportation. Now, I'm all for expanding bus lanes to serve specific areas, but we didn't get a bunch of emails from workers. We got emails that were very, very specific to one school.
And that's a different conversation. And so what I'm addressing is the emails that I received as a Springs MAC council member that were very specific to one school. And so I don't personally believe, in my opinion and in my experience in governance, that it is the responsibility of Sonoma County Public Transit to provide transportation for a specific school to meet that specific school's schedule. If they were to do that, they would never be able to create a transportation schedule, because there are a lot of schools. We have over 40 school districts in Sonoma County, and they're all on different master schedules. And that's why school districts have the responsibility, or can choose to take on the responsibility of transportation. So I can appreciate the spirit behind the emails, but I personally could not get behind endorsing such a thing, because that actually is the responsibility of the school. And I would really encourage Credo and their community and their family community to explore the option of creating school transportation between Sonoma Valley and their school.
Thank you. Are there other comments from council? Iris?
What I'm noticing is that there is already a precedent with the Sonoma County Transit to create a bus line that serves Sonoma State, Petaluma, or the SRJC in Petaluma and Credo. And the other thing is that I'm kind of assuming that such a bus line would also be useful to other people. It wouldn't just serve people who are going to those particular institutions. Having something that is further over to the east in the Petaluma Valley seems like a good thing. So
thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Jesus?
Sorry to disagree with you, Celeste, but I have to say this. I think that I endorse the creation of the bus route from Sonoma Valley to Credo through the SRJC in Petaluma, Credo High School, and Sonoma State. One, because I believe Credo is a school for special education. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like talented education. It's just
It's
another.
a Waldorf-based high school.
Well, it's a different kind of education. So, well, the point is that if anybody, somebody that goes to that school and it is in their being to be in that school, because then they will be doing something great later. I think that it's important that we allow these kids to go to those institutions. And I'm speaking for the students at the Sonoma State or SRJC, not only for Sonoma Credo High School, is that we have to take into consideration allowing students to attend these institutions so that they can excel on whatever they choose in life. And
you.
education is part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Any other comments? Go ahead, Joe.
Just to go off that, so correct me if I'm wrong, there is transportation already. It's a longer bus ride, but there's already transportation. So in my mind, that ability is already there to get there. One, and then two, the carbon footprint part of my mind is there's already transportation. So adding buses, I don't see how that decreases carbon footprint. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. Brian, thank you for coming, and thank you for listening to all the voices, and thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it. Okay, I think we're going to take a break. Yeah, I think it's a super good idea. So we're going to take a 6-minute break. We'll come back at 8:55. Thank you. Thing because between commercial property and residential stuff, that's a lot. Okay,
I just wanted to thank everybody. I'm going to swim up the valley. Oh, wait, it's not raining yet.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks
Please be-
Supervisor Gorin.
Please be careful in the rain.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye-bye. All right, item 9. Our annual report is due. And I need some help. So what would be really awesome is if people who have done things like the holiday decorating or the holiday celebration or the roads or whatever different ad hocs, if you could write up a little paragraph about that and send it to me, I would be very grateful. And then I'll put together a report that will go to the board. And it looks like it needs to be approved at our next meeting. Then I hope we make that timeline. Well, if we're going to make the April 12th deadline, I would need the write-ups by,
April 1st.
yeah, April 1st. That would be great.
And on this little paragraph, what exactly do you want? Do you want like,
You collaborated with Artscape, what the budget was, the dates of the, because you did the holiday decorating, right? You did that and you did the Dia de los Muertos. So the budget that was used, who you collaborated with, the days it was up, a picture maybe would be awesome. Okay,
good.
Thank you. Yeah. That we do it annually. Okay. Well, so this is a resolution.
It's a resolution item if you want to have one of the council members help you. Like.
They're
actually-
all going to help me.
Actually help you draft the report.
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
If they send me, I'll do it. Do we need to have, we don't need a resolution then? Okay, thank you. I'll get it done. Okay. Any comment or public comment on the report?
We're all just looking forward to it.
I know. It's a great read. Okay. Budget request for the logo design. So that paragraph that I read at the beginning was, I didn't get the budget request in on time. I got it in late, so it'll come to the April meeting. But Artscape has agreed to collaborate with us, and they will be our nonprofit who will hold onto the funds, who will invoice the county, who will be able to pay the artist. So now we need to get the advertisement out and we can get started. So it'll go to the April meeting. So that, is there any comment on the logo design competition? Maybe I'll give a little summary of what we're going to do. So we talked about putting out a general proposal to people to design a logo, and Celeste and Joe have more of the details of that. Then the ad hoc committee would bring down the number of, would look at all of the entries and make a decision to move 3 or 4 forward, that then the community would be able to vote and decide on. And that is our general plan. And we're going to offer an incentive, a cash incentive to the winner of the design contest. And Celeste and Joe, did you have some specifics about what that logo needed to entail?
I mean, the big piece is, that it's vector graphic, so it can be blown up or made small and it will keep its integrity. That it will work both in color and black and white, and that it will have the ability to be both in English and Spanish. I think that's the big, and the I guess the gist of it is, it's up to the artist to decide what they feel represents the Springs, but it needs to be representative of the Springs.
And then I think the other thing that we need to talk about is if this is being bumped up to April, we need to determine what do we want the deadline to be. So our April meeting happens
On the 12th, I think.
12th.
Mhm.
So then how much time do we want to give for the creation and then for people to have a deadline to submit?
Like a couple of months.
Yeah.
Necessary.
Yeah. Maybe the beginning of June, maybe it could coincide with the picnic.
Yeah.
The unveiling.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that.
maybe we could work something out like that. Or
Yeah,
we
we
could at
could
least
have the
get close so
finalists.
we have the finalists
Yeah.
available at the picnic and people can vote on them.
Oh, that
And
works too.
I know I'm
definitely.
not on in your ad hoc, but I know that the fiscal sponsor, I mean, this fiscal year ends in June 30th.
So
So
we have to decide.
you have to use the money, correct, before June 30th?
But by
Otherwise,
transferring
it
that
would,
money to Artiscape, it's already technically spent though, right?
oh, okay. Yes, so I would check in with Karina.
We'll check with Karina.
With your timeline.
That's okay. We get,
We had a really big question for you and you, no.
if we, we're kind of playing with the idea of having the finalists available at the picnic that we're planning and that people can vote on them then, but it might be like beginning mid-June. And would we run into any difficulties with the fiscal year? But if Artiscape were to invoice you ahead of time, that would be acceptable.
Correct, as long as the invoice occurs in the month of April or May, then we're good.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, I'll communicate that to them.
So do we want to make the deadline June 1?
I think so.
Is that acceptable to everybody? Is this?
Do we need to move? And
I do, I
Can-
don't know, yeah,
can
what do we
we-
do with that?
Do we need to vote on it?
Yeah, we can, but it just, yeah. We can pop that onto the April item.
If I may through the chair, you cannot vote today because we don't have
Right.
a budget request.
It's a resolution, yeah,
Yes.
because
So-
we didn't get the budget.
We just need to
Yeah.
remember to add that to the budget request for next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that will work out well. 'cause
Okay.
then We'll do it all at once.
okay, very good. All right. Okay, we're making progress. We're moving forward with that one. That's exciting. Okay. Dia del Niño 2023 sponsorship, honoring the partnership with Quetzalén, Sonoma Immigrant Services. The events planned for April 2023 at Hannah. And it looks like we need to designate a council person.
Oh, I think that that's a budget that I submitted. Can you
Okay.
show? Are you able to make it bigger, please, for me to read? Yes, that's great. Thank you. Yes, so I believe that during the I believe it was I think in August or September that we suggested events for this new budget year. I had proposed $1,000 for Dia del Niño, Day of the Child with Quetzalén. And I appreciate Karina's guidance in making sure that to finalize everything that this request form has to be filled out. And so thus here it is. And the description of the event is, this event will be part of the Quetzalén Community Concert on Sunday, April 23rd at Hannah Boys Center Auditorium to honor Children's Day. Originally on April 30th, attending children will receive a small a toy or game after the concert. And the proposed amount was 1,000. And how it will benefit the community. The community will benefit by supporting the well-being of children, validating and cherishing the importance of being a child. And partnering organization would be Sonoma Immigrant Services, who would be the fiscal sponsor for this event and for the monies. So that we can vote on, correct?
Are there any questions or public comment? Questions from the council? Joe?
Just what is the money being used for?
For toy.
Okay, that's, I figured, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
And those are prizes?
No,
or-
this very similar to the holiday celebration. We will be purchasing toys to give to children. So we're hoping that based on budget, we can do like small toys to up maybe to 100 or 150 little toys. Averaging about if we do an average about maybe $5 to $10 a toy per se. We're trying to be as cost effective as we can. But we're hoping to be able to provide at least 100 toys for the children attending the concert.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? And any public comment? In the Zoom room? Okay. All right. So is there a motion to approve $1,000 for the Dia de los Niños celebration in April?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I
Celeste,
second.
Iris, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next budget request is for the emergency preparedness event. Discuss and approve the sponsorship on an on-site promotional opportunities for emergency preparedness event in partnership with Map Your Neighborhood. The event is planned for May 2023 in the Springs. We're to discuss and approve the date and time. And then I don't know who, is that you too,
Yes,
Madam?
I
Okay, thank you.
Propose that I submitted this request form as well with the fire emergency awareness week, which is the 1st through the 7th of May, and fire season starting in June. Wanted to propose doing an emergency preparedness event at the 22 Boys Boulevard.
Great.
A
Where we have the
location. So
holiday.
yes, so let me read this. So proposing the event to take place at 22 Boys Boulevard in the Springs in the month of May by inviting different emergency preparedness organizations to table and provide giveaways related to emergency preparedness. And it was an amount estimated of proposing $500, but I would actually like to retract on that and request zero from the MAC, as I have spoken to DEM, and they will be actually in process of providing $1,000 from the county of Sonoma. So,
Thank you.
so, and we are actually looking at for May, Tuesday, the 9th, in the evening. So it would be an evening event. I have already spoken to Fire District and to Fire Safe Sonoma as well. And Nancy from DEM actually will be co-leading this connection with all the rest of the emergency preparedness organizations, including Halter Project per se, the most known stakeholders for emergency preparedness. And of course, how would it benefit the community? This event would inform and prepare the community individuals to be prepared for fire season. Partner organizations would be the Map Your Neighborhood, which is confirmed, spoke to Dana, Fire Safe Sonoma, DEM, COAD, the fire district, and the sheriffs, and those are pending. So we will provide more information tonight. I will be confirming to Nancy that if it is approved, I will confirm and follow up with Karina.
Thank you.
And if approved, the MAC is also invited to attend, volunteer, have a table, so forth. Thank you.
Did you say May 9th?
Yes.
Tuesday night?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Will that compete with the farmer's market?
Yeah, but it's 4 to 7, but I mean, it's only one Tuesday, so whoever wants to be prepared, it's for the spring specifically, so we're
7,
yeah, we're looking at 4:30 to 6:30.
4:30 to 6:30?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a tentative, but either 4:30 to 6:30 or 5 to 7, one of the two.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will it be similar to the one that we did at Larson Park?
Yes, very similar. I just think that, we have the space at 22 Boys Boulevard. We have a free space. So I need to just get the permits with the county. We have all the agencies that will be providing the giveaways and the education. And I also see that 22 Boys Boulevard at one point, if there was an emergency, that would be a centralized area where people could actually gather where there are no trees, especially in case of an earthquake, that you could say, oh, let's meet, if there's an emergency, I'll meet you by the post office, So that space is still there and it's very usable, and we need to make as much use as it is, even if it does never necessarily become a plaza. But it's there, and it provides us beautiful space for gathering and for especially if there's ever a disaster.
Thank you. So we are not necessarily approving a budget. Now we're just approving the date and the time and our participation in it.
Correct.
Okay, great. All right. Are there any questions from the council?
I just want to say thank you for doing that. I think it's really important. And I want to second what you said, that particular location, should we have a disaster or emergency of some kind, it is a very good central point that's safe for people to find their family members, to all of those things, and to access resources. So I want to thank you for putting this together. I think it's a really important event and helps create a lot of access for people to keep safe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to second that, Marty Carmen. Thanks for keeping the emergency preparedness alive and moving, and I
Yes,
really appreciate that.
And this conversation came from with Dana. I said, Dana, we have to keep Map Your Neighborhood alive. We can't be relying on anyone else. If nothing else is being done, we need to do it.
Yeah. So
And
thank you.
that's our responsibility for looking at least for our area.
Yeah.
And anyone else is welcome to.
Happy to help. Thank you. I'm going to wait till Karina gets back before we check to make sure there's no public comment from the Zoom space. And then that's okay. We just wanted to check and make sure there was no public comment online. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the date of May 9th and our collaboration with these organizations to put on an emergency preparedness event?
I motion.
Joe, second?
Second.
Celeste, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Motion passes.
So
Okay.
Karina, I guess is it okay if you edit it, or should I just submit another one with a 0 budget?
I think we can revise that, and it does need Chair Charter's signature after tonight, since it was approved. So yes, revise it with 0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Community picnic. This is to approve the sponsor and on-site promotional opportunities for the picnic, and a partnership with a nonprofit. And the event is for June, and now we're going to add an art component to it. So super exciting. And wondering if there's any discussion or anything that we need to approve the date.
Yeah, there's nothing to approve. It was more of an update. So basically, as I reached out to the regional parks because it looks like what we need is a special use permit because it's a community event. Even though it's not ticketed and there's no cost to get in, it's a community event. So it would be a special use permit. And I put in a couple of phone calls to them and I have not been able to get a hold of anybody. So Should have tackled our
They
friends
were
when they were
very here,
tonight.
not
Here. So if I can get their contact and because I've put in a couple phone calls now and nobody's called me back.
So, yeah, let's communicate.
Thank you.
Reminder that any communication to other county departments need to go through us as well. And then just a reminder that we did not receive the budget request form for this item.
Yeah, I know, because we're not quite there yet. So that was the next question, because I had a few questions for the council on that, but we couldn't talk until we met. So the questions that I had for the council on this one is, does the council feel that we need additional porta potties for something like that? And so should I go get quotes for that?
It doesn't sound like the bathroom's gonna be built by then.
Exactly. I'm like,
So.
it is inadequate. Okay, so the answer is yes. Okay. And a sink and a hand wash.
And a hand washing station. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was one of my questions. And then the other question was, the trash and recycling collection, would we need additional services for that, or would that be, is what is in the park adequate, or will we need to?
I would imagine we'll probably need that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I remember, the event we had, the emergency preparedness, there was like one garbage can. Right, I don't think that there was enough.
Yeah, because there's a dumpster or anything out there. I went and looked and sort of walked around, and that was my feeling, is that we would need to reach out to, I believe it's Recology, and
Yeah.
get an additional, okay,
Yeah.
so that's a yes.
Yeah, I don't remember there was a lot of garbage, but the only one
Well,
was
with a
what
pig-
was with the tacos.
Yeah.
But I think they took their own garbage.
Yeah, with a picnic, we're gonna need.
That was my sense. Yeah, okay, so I will reach out and get pricing for both of those two things. And then factor them into the budget request.
I
And
would also probably a certificate of insurance. They
that
might
was my
need.
next
So those
question.
cost at least $200 or so. But checking in with whoever your fiscal sponsor will be.
Okay. Because that was my next question. Does the certificate of insurance go through the fiscal sponsor, or does it go through us?
So does it go through?
Certificate of insurance. Let me check on that because it might be through regional parks.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll check on that.
Thank you, because those were the three things I was
Yeah.
stuck on. And then what I have is our first choice date would be June 17th. Because June 18th is Father's Day, so sounded like that was everybody's first choice. And then the other two possibilities are June 10th and June 11th, but those are right after when school gets over and people are having graduation dates. So those were kind of backups. But what I wanted to know from everybody is, if June 17th is not available, would you like June 18th to be your second choice? Even though it's Father's Day? I don't think it would super matter that it's Father's Day. Bring their dad.
Bring your dad to a picnic. Yeah, I think, the 17th or the 18th.
Okay, so I'll make the 18th choice too, in case the 17th isn't ready.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
those were the things I needed. That was it.
All right, very good. I look forward to that. Okay. We don't need to take a vote on that, so we'll go on to budget update. Is this you, Karina?
It is.
Can you get bigger?
It looks big on my monitor, so I apologize.
No, that's,
There.
well,
There we go.
maybe, okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, I will make it quick. When I prepared this document, anything you see in yellow was missing. So we were missing a ton of invoices from Language People. We were missing some invoices from KSBY. So at that time, the balance I showed was $5,293.75. After some adjusting, your current balance is $5,464.55, believe it or not. And just projected for this March meeting, which of course will be a little higher with your minute taking, but you'll be around 4,700 after March meeting.
And we
Um,
have, how many more meetings? We have April, May, and June before we
so
get a new
have to
budget.
Pay March, April, and May.
And then June's a
and
new
June.
budget? No.
No, June, sorry. So March,
March.
April, May, June. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Any questions?
No, that's good. We'll have enough money for a picnic.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Any questions on the budget? Any public comment on the budget? Thank you to our interpreters back there for hanging in. Okay. So we're going to go through our ad hoc updates. We have an update on the bike racks. The bike rack has been moved. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Also, I got an email from, I'm not sure that, I don't know who was included. So in the Artiscape is finding a hard time finding paint that will stick to the bike rack because it's high gloss. So they're doing some experimenting and trying to figure out what they're going to be, what kind of paint they're going to be able to use.
They want to use high gloss? or
No,
it's already-
it's already painted with a high gloss and finding something to stick to the high gloss. So those are some very innovative and creative folks, and I have the full confidence that they will figure it out. But that is the latest report. Yeah,
Sandpaper,
probably.
sanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
partner was a paint.
Yeah. So that was there anything else in that email, Karina, that you remember? I think that was the latest, right? Yeah, okay. Community voice.
Sorry, Maite.
Yes. Did you have a question? Sure. Yes, we'll make sure they get delivered to Artiscape. That's a great question, Jesus.
We
No,
send
we're
them
gonna
to
deliver to your house.
No,
Lawn.
Artscape, please.
Yeah, they're good. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, we'll have them delivered to Artiscape. Thank you. That's a very good point. Oh, he's sorry. Okay. All right, community voice.
I'm not sure, Karina, I think is our ad hoc over?
It says done. Does that mean it's over?
Sorry,
Community
community
voice.
voice was the emergency preparedness.
No, I did not. For some reason, I thought the ad hoc was done already.
You have like one more month, so I thought that this is.
No,
Let's
actually, I was
check out.
proposing it more like from almost a volunteer from Mecker neighborhood. But if we still do have, because at the moment, will the ad hoc will it still be alive?
Give me a moment to double check.
I
If you can
think
go
it,
on
I
to the-
think it wasn't. That's why I just put other. I didn't put any ad hoc.
Okay, give me a
And we've actually had updates on almost everything because of the budget requests.
I show that community voice expires on April 6th.
Yeah, so it will not be in existence anymore.
Right, but you can still plan.
Okay,
You could get help from us, as
Yeah.
helpful as we are.
until April 6th. Just
No, we
kidding.
might help you after that.
But I did actually want to ask, can you make another ad hoc to deal with emergency preparedness, even though in the past it already existed? Is,
You can create as many ad hocs as you want. If there's an existing project, it can continue under a different name, like Emergency Preparedness 2.0, for example.
I just don't, I don't want emergency preparedness to
I don't either. I agree with you.
to die out. One, because we have the pod Altamira.
Yep.
And two, because it looks like we have some kind of relationship with CVNL and Sonoma Community Center regarding volunteers. So that I think we really need to follow up, which I did want to ask because I wasn't aware of it. When that happened, do you know, Maite, by any chance?
So we started conversation. I wasn't representing the MAC. It was just me
Okay.
going as a individual.
Okay, so I think we might need to initiate the conversation with them because they have the MAC logo on there. And so I never recall that we had the conversation here at the
have
MAC
not?
meeting. So I think we need to talk to the Sonoma Valley Collaborative because they have the logo there and mentioned the MAC as one of the members. Which at one point I thought, well, how come the North Valley MAC isn't there? Because they have emergency preparedness too. And logically, they're part of Sonoma Valley too, so they should be on there too. So I think we really need, I think we need to do a 2.0 emergency preparedness so we can continue in looking into those things.
Yeah.
And
I didn't, are they still meeting?
that's what I don't know. And I was like, I just one day I
Because
saw it.
Charlotte's not there anymore and she was leading the whole thing.
And that was one of my concerns also when I spoke to Dana. I was like, I didn't know that the MAC was part of it. I saw the
You
logo.
weren't. I mean,
And then I know that there's changes. And then I said, well, if there's no stability and emergency preparedness elsewhere, we need to provide stability at least for the springs. And so I really think that it's important that we do an emergency preparedness 2.0 to, I don't know how many 0.0s we're gonna have, but I think we need to
yeah,
continue,
I agree.
propose another ad hoc.
Do we know who's running that committee now?
No, so that's why I kind of wanted to have an ad hoc so we can have a formal space to talk about it.
Okay. So it looks like we're gonna have a couple of ad hocs we might consider at the end of this.
I'm adding that to your April agenda.
Okay, thank you. So,
Yeah.
because actually it will be perfect because the community voice will end on April 6th, so. And I think emergency preparedness is one of the biggest things that we need to have community voice and input.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. MAC logo, we just discussed. The community picnic, we just discussed. And I'm not sure why the Facebook page kind of confuses me. Do we need to do something with that?
Just if you have an update on any activity or increases on,
No.
yeah, on views or followers, any activity, yeah.
Hold on. It's poor. We're not posting a lot. I need help. If somebody wants to help, be
I
awesome.
thought Celeste joined the. No. Oh, no, I thought you were in that ad hoc too.
Am I? I didn't know that I was. I can be and I'm happy to be. I just didn't.
I
know that
remember
was.
that, I remember that you said,
Yeah.
you
Okay, no, I'm
signed up.
happy. I'm happy to. I can run an analytics report. I'm just not.
You
an
have
admin.
the list of the ad hoc names?
It's Maite and Celeste with support from me.
I would just need to be made an admin on the page so that I could
Okay.
run analytics.
I will do that.
And I could also assist with the posting. I just don't have access yet.
Okay. I will work on that. All right. So it looks like we're going to have 2 ad hoc proposals for next agenda. One is potentially a safety and traffic ad hoc, and the other is an emergency preparedness one. And the ones that are sunsetting are, just to summarize, the ones that are sunsetting are community voice. Is that the only one? As you have done written by the MAC logo, but I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, it means like the update was done in the previous item.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so the only one that's sunsetting is community voice. Okay, thank you.
just real quick for everyone's knowledge, the active ones are Community Voice, we just went over, the bicycle rack, which expires on July 13th of this year, and the MAC logo, which expires in November.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hold on.
I see a typo or an error on.
Okay,
Yes, so
all right.
go to item 17.
Thank
please.
you.
Thank you.
I was like, uh-oh, what's going on? Okay, consideration for future agenda items. So I just want to let you all know what we have on our very long list. So April 12th, we have roads and traffic and safety and health is kind of the theme. We have chair and vice chair nominations, Caltrans, PI and TPW. What does PI stand for now?
Public infrastructure.
Thank you. Sonoma Valley Hospital, ad hocs, and the last round of budget requests for our projects, which will be the logo and picnic. On May 10th, we have emergency preparedness, Chief Aker, COAD, CVLN, Springs Fire Council, Sonoma Water is requested by Sonoma Water. Water's updating the 2018 local hazard mitigation plan. Have they spoken to us before?
I believe you received presentations from Sonoma Water, but this is specific to their hazard mitigation plan, and they have an update from the 2018.
Thank you. And then we're going to consider budget allocation for the 23-24 fiscal year. June 14th, we're looking at economic growth and housing. We'll have Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce and EDB. Are there any comments on future? There was one future agenda item I wanted to add and then I forgot what it was. Any comments on what you're hearing? It's a lot.
Is it a outside thing, a Springs Mac thing, talking about a community forum for Plaza?
So can I answer that question?
If the question is there an active ad hoc? Is that the question, Joe?
I guess, yeah, I mean, I feel like we closed that ad hoc, but is that something we want to revisit
You can.
in a different way?
Right, you can start a new ad hoc, so if you want to add an item to your April agenda to discuss creating a new ad hoc for a public forum, I'm happy to add that.
Any other comments? Suggestions? We do. Well, it just goes to kind of show that this is really the only forum that the Springs has. So it is highly utilized and that's great. But we do have long meetings as a result of it, but it is one of the only avenues. So.
It seems like it also shows there's a lot of need.
Yes, it confirms what we've all known. Yeah, okay. So we will go. I just want to say thank you to, thanks Karina for putting that. We would like to adjourn this meeting in, yes.
You do not receive public comments for future agenda items?
I said, are there any comments public? Or
I know, you said for the-
would you like to make a public comment?
That's
You
why
go
I
right.
stayed this long.
I thought you were just enthralled with our
I'm
meeting.
intrigued by everything here tonight. I must say, I'm not going to say entertained, but I am intrigued. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. You know that I'm Josette Roseicher. So I would like the MAC to think about including the following agenda items for the near future. And I know you have a lot on your plate. As community members, we now channel our correspondence through Susan Goran's office through Karina Garcia. I would like to request that the MAC begin to receive correspondence directly from community members via email. If there are worries about using personal email, then perhaps the county could supply email addresses to use, like the Sonoma City Council does. I believe direct communication would create better dialogue and create and promote more community involvement. Plus, getting direct responses from MAC members would build more and more community involvement over time. If done as the Sonoma City Council and other commissions and councils do, there would be no conflict with the Brown Act. And I would also like to request for myself, I'm losing my voice now too, to possibly be on the agenda to present the data from the Plaza survey that I created with Wake Up Sonoma. I could present the data in a brief PowerPoint presentation. So those are the only things I wanted you to think about. So thank you very much for listening tonight.
Thank you for sticking it out with us. I also, Rena, I don't know your business. Can we add something about public comment and the best way to put public comment? Before agenda item?
Which agenda? Okay, so we're talking July.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, any other comments? We'd like to adjourn this meeting and we're going to be also members, including the students. Student from high school and all that. Also, I think that's the ASB Live, the podcast, the support. Thank you, Bob. Thank you to SBSD and the Marines, the interpreters, you, Carlos, and thank you inside out for all your help. And thank you to the council, you are super thoughtful people, and I'm proud to sit here with you all. So thank you very much. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Joe,
I second.
Suze, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.